mellow greetings. What seems to be your boggle?
Enhance your comm, James. Enhance your comm.
I'm sorry. We're talking about Demolition Man, and I'm so excited. We got the Reverend Charles Hewitt in the house.
I'm here.
We got the dirt farmer Clinton Bush.
True story.
The manimal Bob Hauser.
And
How you doing?
We're ready to rock and roll today. Let's go.
nice. I'm ready.
Oh my gosh. What a piece of crap movie we have to talk about today.
Why couldn't you just pick another Ernest movie to watch instead? I mean, seriously.
I don't know how long we want to keep the joke going this time since we've already done this once, so we're just going to skip right through all that
I
nonsense.
think we
All
just,
right, fine.
Yeah, that was really quick.
Yeah, that was really fast.
That was the fastest one ever.
Fastest
I
one
lied.
ever.
Ernest still sucks.
This is the week of April Fools. Now, last year, our April Fools episode literally came out on April Fools. This will miss it by a few days.
Okay.
But we're going to do it again because it's now become a tradition. Last year we did Batman, 1989, and spent about 10 minutes faking the people out that we thought it was terrible. But this is an opportunity to do a movie that otherwise wouldn't normally qualify.
Sure.
And so here's the second rendition of good movies that are good, at least by the ratings. I don't know. I'm not going to make these guys' minds up for them, but we've got Demolition Man 1993 today.
Demolition Man.
Yeah.
I will start out without totally giving away the end that we thought outside but pressed right up to the side of the box on this one as far as qualifications.
Well, you remember you brought it up during a couple mailbags, like basically begging for it.
Yeah.
And then we tried to see if it would fit.
I think I just wanted Taco Bell when I said that.
We checked across the board. Now, normal, for those of you who don't listen, we've got parameters that qualify it to be a bad movie. Not necessarily what we think. We'll make up our own minds by the end of the show, but either the critics will have said it's bad, so it's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, or the audience says it's bad, meaning it's under a 6 on IMDb, or it's rotten for an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Those are the parameters.
I mean, how smart can the audience be?
Well, sometimes
We are the audience.
We are the audience.
We wonder that,
We're
though.
moving on into critic territory, though.
That's why we don't use Google reviews, because I don't know who reviews, what kind of Neanderthals use Google to review movies, but like it could be the biggest pile of crap, and it's got 4.4 stars on Google.
Right.
I never use Google reviews to decide anything.
Google's the people's medium.
Is that what it
Are
is?
you opposed to the people?
Well, I guess for some reason they don't let, these are the people they don't let use other sites or
In
something.
the future, would you be living underground, trying to overthrow the
I would
man?
definitely be with Edgar Friendly, I think. down
Edgar
there.
Friendly?
Smoking a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section.
That's right. That's right. Let's give you the vitals so that we can get on the same page as far as what we're talking about today. And the movie was directed by Marco Brambola. Whoa, Bakbe Brambola. That's what I thought of immediately.
Nailed it.
Do we know him?
No, he's the only other movie he did was Excessive Baggage, which was the year after this.
Excessive baggage.
Excessive baggage?
Was it about like at the
Isn't that
airport
a
terminal? It's like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you're going to have to
movie?
check that.
Is that like a movie one of the airlines haven't made so that people wouldn't bring so much bag on?
There's
baggage
propaganda
on
Like,
for-
no,
You can
you're
actually-
gonna have to pay to check that oversized bag, sir.
You know
like
what?
Alicia Silverstone movie?
It didn't. It was something like that. Yeah.
Was it
was some
Benicio
kind of like
del Toro
emo.
or-
Yeah, it was Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
It was like some emo '90s movie.
It was. He had a transporter. So
We need a
And
legit.
he's the manimal? Really?
We need a legit excessive baggage public service announcement because it is super
Yeah.
annoying to travel on airplanes, and carry-on is suitcases now.
Oh, I know.
And it's
They're
very
ridiculous. And here's what I'll say about Marco.
Get Bramble Blinga Booga Baga back.
Whoa, Brambola. No, it's Marco Brambola. But I don't know how this guy got the job. I couldn't find the information. He had directed nothing before this.
Did Stallone like him?
Maybe he was a buddy.
Snipes like him?
Somebody had to know someone who knew somebody, because he's got.
I hope
since
he
then, he's
didn't
done
give
almost
Snipes
nothing, too.
tax advice.
That's why Snipes is like, look, man, my accountant's always wanted to be a director.
it's probably accurate.
He's disappeared.
Probably
Since then, he hasn't done much. Movie was written by Daniel Waters. Now, you'll have to go way in the Wayback Machine with Peabody and Sherman to remember the name Daniel Waters, because the last time we uttered his name as a writer on this show was episode number 2, because he wrote Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk.
Yes.
God bless him.
The same guy that wrote Hudson Hawk wrote Demolition Man, which seems crazy to me.
That is kind of weird.
They are oddly the same movie.
And he also wrote Batman Returns.
Wow.
Okay. and Heathers, which is another famous movie.
Isn't that a chick movie?
Yeah, well, it's a teen, let's say a teen angst
Another
movie.
emo goth movie.
Yeah, and they made it into a very successful musical, actually, probably
Is there
more
like a
famous.
Pier scene in that movie?
I haven't seen Heathers in 30 plus years.
I've never seen Heathers.
Oh, well, you got to watch it then. How would you know if there's a scene in it?
I think I saw a show where they were watching Heathers.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I know they wanted
We'll
to
go
blow up,
watch it after this,
I
Charles.
think they wanted to blow up the school. That's like the only thing I remember.
Oh, that's probably not the same movie I'm thinking of.
There's also Peter Lenkov and Robert Renault also had story credits. The movie starred Sylvester Stallone.
Stallone, in one of his most, I can't even say the word that it's stupid.
That's okay.
The whole point was to be elocucious.
Loquacious?
Loquacious.
See, when you're trying to
Verbose?
say the word loquacious and
Yes.
you just mess it up, that just makes you look like an idiot.
No. Lots of dialogue for Stallone.
My wife, we started watching this, says, wow, I can really understand him in this movie. And I was like, it's true. He really is very...
He was really enunciating.
He was enunciating very well, yes. It was impressive.
true.
I didn't even need subtitles, even though I had them on.
Right. Instead of, what I expected was for him to come in and go, beware.
Yeah, right.
I am the law.
That was a year after this, actually. So Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes as Simon Phoenix. We got Sandra Bullock.
Awesome.
The year before
Amazing.
Speed, or the year after? The year before. Speed was 94.
Year before Speed.
It's the year
Year
before
before.
she would become a megastar. And Nigel Hawthorne with a turn as the baddie, Dr. Cocteau, in this movie.
Yeah.
Movie had a budget of $57 million and a box office of $159 million. So I call it a modest success at the box office compared to what Sly had done. I think it was kind of an odd movie. I remember being oddly marketed. So I don't know that the normal amount of people that would go to see a lot like a Cobra probably made as much money as this. And,
Right.
It
wasn't as
nearly.
I
as
don't
good.
think I knew anything about this movie till I watched it.
Well, there you go.
This is his best movie outside of his original 3 franchises
You're talking about Rocky, Rambo,
and Expendables.
and Expendables. Yeah.
So-
You had never seen
And
Demolition Man before.
No.
What's that?
and
Okay.
Death Race.
No.
Death Race
yeah,
was not a
Death Race.
franchise for him. He only did the one. Now, Charles, I'm excited about this because I wasn't sure if you'd ever seen it. So not confirming that you hadn't.
No.
Really interested once we get through it. What a fresh perspective thinks
I'll
about
give you a
this
fresh
movie.
one.
Because all of my thoughts are colored by nostalgia, having seen this since
Yeah.
I was a teenager. Many
I
many
was surprised after watching it that it didn't do better at the box office.
Right? It seems like a big
'Cause,
budget.
Well, I guess some of those actors were pretty well known. It had a lot of people that have done a lot in Hollywood. Bullock was right before she took off.
Yes, she probably. When the first time that came out, no one probably knew who that was. She had done some other like romantic comedies. Like
What about
Love
like
Potion.
Benjamin Bratt? He's like he did well.
He was
Done
kind
well.
of right on the cusp of being a thing too. So they were really young unknown actors at the time. Snipes and Stallone would have been the big draw. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I said, a year later she was in Speed, and then it was off to the races with Sandy Bullock after that. So.
Yeah.
So a modest success from the box office standpoint, but again, it didn't bomb, so that wouldn't normally qualify it for us. It's a 6.7 on IMDb, a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes. So again, 2% above qualifying for us, but right on the borderline, kind of on every metric. And then a 66% audience score. So 2/3 of the audience enjoyed the movie. So we are faced with the rare opportunity today to discuss a movie that, by all metrics, even though it's close, has been kind of declared a good movie across the board. Whether or not we think it is, we'll decide as we get through this. But I'm excited, and I think this is probably as good a time as any to let the audience know. I know we announced this to our Patreon members and some of our mailbags and things like that, but to our audience, our wide audience that just kind of tunes in to the mainline episodes, we are going to be kind of using this as a jump off pad to launch a brand new podcast this summer, the second podcast in the catalog for Bad Movies Rule, called Good Movies That Are Good. And so if you've ever wanted to listen to us talk about the Back to the Futures, the Predators, I almost said The Notebook, just to annoy Bob.
The Notebook in here. I quit the show of The Notebook. That pile of crap movie shows up in here. I'm
just
out.
kidding.
I've never seen Notebook either.
The point
But we can
is,
burn in hell.
we'll have a chance. It'll be a monthly podcast.
You've seen it?
Yes, I've unfortunately seen it. God, that movie's the biggest turd.
Do you know one of
You
my
have the choice to just not watch stuff.
one of the most endearing qualities of my wife to me?
Yeah.
Is she does not force me to watch romantic movies.
Oh, see?
And she
Score one
loves
for Melissa.
action films and sci-fi.
I rather go through. Oh man,
So I've never been forced to sit down and watch a movie called The Notebook.
I'd rather have somebody drop me off, send me back in time, drop me off during the Rodney King riots instead of watch The Notebook.
That's very apropos to the movie we're reviewing today, actually.
I'd rather be free jacked. Okay.
I'd rather hop in a car and get Megaforce.
Fair enough. So this summer you can enjoy good movies that are good, and hear us talk about some actual good movies. It's going to be a Patreon exclusive. So for as little as $3 a month, you can jump on patreon.com/badmoviesrule, and you can have access to our new podcast starting this summer.
We're practically giving that away.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's nothing you're going to get.
That'd be the higher tier.
No, that's literally bottom tier. You can get access to good movies that are good and hear us talk about some all-time classics.
How do we do a good movies podcast?
Well, we're going to we're going to test it out today.
Okay,
that's what we're about to answer that question, man. There are other ways you can get in touch with us. You can email the show if you've got questions, if you want to tell. We want to hear some movie-related stories. I always like asking people, like, what's your favorite memory that's revolved around movies as a child, whether it was weekends at home with your parents, renting movies from Blockbuster as a kid, your formative experiences at the theater itself. Tell us some stories. Tell us some suggestions you got for the show. Reach out and send some hate mail for Bob.
Yeah, tell me what movies you made out in.
Yeah, that's right.
Watched, made out during.
All right.
I want to hear that. Bob.
And you can email us at thisshowIstrash@gmail.com. Again, all one word, thisshowIstrash@gmail.com.
I always found making out at movies was a waste of money, and I'd never had a girlfriend to make out at a movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
That's what you're paying the money for.
It wasn't just make out.
When you're in eighth grade,
You went to the wrong theater, Bob.
No. I went to the right there. You just sat all the way up in the back in the dark hole, cut a hole in your popcorn, and yes!
Okay.
Have you seen these movie theaters in Europe that have beds?
What?
No.
They're like double beds. I just saw a thing the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just somebody's
true.
house.
That's
That
true.
wasn't a theater.
Mine's a king bed.
They were
where I
recording
watched.
you. They
Next,
wasn't.
next they'll have kitchens, and then
Yeah,
you do your
true.
laundry there, and then it's your house.
Yeah, I think most people's take on that is, ew, gross.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to go lay down in this bed after 4 movies have been seen in this
But to
theater.
answer your question, Charles, when you're in eighth grade and you want to make out with your girlfriend and you can't go anywhere else, you just get a ticket to Home Alone. Not that I'm being specific, and you sit up in the balcony at the Antioch Theater, and you
made out there in Home
oddly
Alone.
specific.
Oh yeah,
This guy really has a weird thing for River Wild. I don't understand.
I made it during Home Alone and Forrest Gump, and there's a bunch of other movies I never
Your life
watched.
was like a box of chocolates.
James's big favorite for makeouts was Schindler's List.
That's right.
Oh man. That's
Well, by that
bad.
point, I was already 17, so it wasn't as big a deal to
You
go
could park somewhere.
to the
Right?
theater. Yeah, you got to.
What
Once you
was
had
the
your car,
Antioch parking spot? Did we do that then?
Right off
4
of
blocks away.
So you go out Nelson Road, right? Well, no one's going to know this. I'm not going to keep going.
Yeah.
All right. So let's keep going on this.
Wow.
Before we find out any more about my history, I want to also point you to our newsletter. So every month we send out a newsletter via email. We don't spam people, but you can sign up. It's at badmoviesrule.com. You can sign up there, and we put out all kinds of information in our newsletter that you don't normally get on the show. Also, you can get to know our cast members here, and also discounts on merch, all kinds of things we put in there. So if you haven't yet joined, go to badmoviesrule.com, sign up for our email newsletter there as well.
I made it out in a cemetery once.
Wow.
Dude.
It's like 3rd grade.
Third grade?
Yeah.
Dude.
He was 14.
You're a rock star, man.
That's what I'm saying. What a legend.
Well, here's what happened. So I did that, and my parents were like, "You're a little young for that." And I listened to them, and I never made out with another woman until I met my wife.
Yeah, that's a tragic story.
Yeah.
How'd your parents find out?
I mean, I probably told them.
Why?
Because I'm in 3rd grade. What
You
do
don't tell
do?
after 3rd grade, you don't break code.
Charles at home is like, Dad, you're not going to believe what happened.
That little clump of trees. I'm probably driving by the cemetery. See that little clump of trees, Dad?
Oh, man.
Your dad should have gave you a high five.
Remember that
man.
name of Holmberg I talked about a long time ago?
Yeah.
She was
That
the
was
cemetery
that was
girl.
Christy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you fell off a bike, you made out in a cemetery. Dude, I love these episodes.
I don't
Charles
know how
has
we
the
ended
best
up
life.
there exactly.
All right, how about we dive into this movie? Let's do that. You guys ready to go on Demolition Man 93?
Sure.
Well, except in this movie, the year is 1996.
Can I just say I was very confused about that?
Okay.
Because 96 looked somewhat futuristic.
Right. It's only 3 years in the future.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're kind of heating at, is like, hey, we've rebuilt a civilization out of these riots of
The early 90s.
They briefly explained that towards the middle or end of the movie, where like Snipes' character Simon Phoenix had carved out that place, his fortress of power,
South Central LA.
Yes.
Right. It was almost like like what they did in Seattle a couple years ago,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
Barricaded a section of it.
barricaded
with a lot more
section
guns.
with a lot more guns.
Yeah.
They said this is like we own this area.
Don't come here.
And essentially what the writers were saying is that in 3 years' time, LA was going to be a total war zone. Okay. In '93, this is what they thought they were trending toward.
I know. Poor LA, man. So, well, I mean,
They were
I didn't
really
live there
close.
Then. It was pretty close.
Oh, you lived there then? Okay.
Yeah, I
so
did.
then Charles
Yes.
gets it. He's watching. He's like, yeah, that tracks.
I would have been. I would think I was 93.
Okay.
Well, 96. I was a freshman in college.
Right. But when the movie came out, you would have been in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like a freshman or sophomore.
So LA's a war zone. They've got literally there's tracer fire and gunfire everywhere. There's cops rolling in everywhere. And in comes this helicopter, right? And this is where we meet Stallone, comes into the shot with the beret on, right?
Yeah.
He's like, send a maniac to catch a maniac, right? They're going at-
Repels out of the helicopter.
I know.
Yeah.
I love how he yells. This first scene here is by far the most bananas of the whole movie, as far as
Is it?
I think it is from a trope standpoint.
Oh, okay,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
sure.
Like the typical action movie tropiness. Like he yells the bad guy's name as he jumps out of the helicopter, right?
He does that in bed.
We're only 2 minutes into the movie. And
Right, 2 minutes. He's all, you Phoenix!
just diving out.
Right.
He'd been looking for him for 2 years. He's pretty excited.
He was very excited.
Yeah.
He jumps out. He's running up on dudes, shooting them with their with his 9mm.
Yeah.
Throat chopping them with their own guns.
Chopping guys. This one dude's chasing behind him with a machine gun, but just shooting the ground right behind Stallone as he runs.
Yes.
He's 5 feet away.
It was in his contract. Like,
Yeah.
you must shoot behind my feet.
Yeah.
He rappels down the elevator shaft, dives through a window, sneaks up. Now there's this bad guy shooting out the window. He sneaks up on him, has a gun, can just shoot him, but instead punches him to death.
Yeah,
Right.
Like just punches him, breaks his neck type thing.
Right?
Like a quick
okay.
flash.
You could have just walked up and capped him, but that's fine. Goes through the whole thing. And this is where we meet Simon Phoenix.
Simon Phoenix.
He's in this big open room that's just got gas canisters that he's stabbed and leaked
I like the
everywhere.
knife with the big
I
skull on
have
it.
to assume that as Stallone, you walk into there, or as
Spartan. John Spartan.
John
Right.
Spartan, you walk into this room and you don't need him to drop the torch to the ground and say, oh, you're standing in
Yeah,
gasoline.
really,
You
right,
don't need him
really.
to say that.
I
You're
thought
going to
that-
know, hey, there's a wet room and it stinks of gas in here. I assume I'm standing in gasoline.
I also would assume as soon as he lit that torch, the whole place would explode.
The fumes would have been,
fumes. Yes.
depending on if it
Yes.
was,
Especially when the torch is just, half inch from the actual gas.
Well, this is a common trope in movies, that the gas never ignites till the cigarette hits the gas or the flame hits it, where gas would always ignite well before it actually touched it.
I'm going to try that when I fill my car later.
Don't do that.
And that too, we've actually played with gasoline, like in a can, whatever, in a room. So obviously we haven't soaked the whole room up to
In a room,
fumes.
you've
of-
played with gas.
in the shop, yeah.
In the shop.
But like you have a pool there because everybody's like, hey, you can't start gasoline with a cigarette. Well, it's true, you cannot. We can put cigarettes out in gasoline all
Right.
freaking day.
Right.
But we're talking about a room that is completely saturated in fuel fumes at this point. That's a different story.
Right. And so so Stallone walks in and they're doing they're trading their barbs like they do in action movies. And you're right, he doesn't realize that the soles, there's like a half inch of gasoline he's walking around the soles of his boots. And he's- until Wesley Snipes or Simon Phoenix lights the torch and he's like, oh, you're up to your ass in gasoline.
Yeah.
What?
Set your ass on fire.
Is it just cold? Is it cold in here? Is that just me?
Well, maybe
Yeah.
Stallone can't smell.
Like maybe he has no
Maybe
sense of
John
smell.
Spartan and all that
I would have
fighting
to say this
damaged
is
his
probably
olfactory.
Wesley Snipes' best role.
Yeah,
would
look,
agree.
if we just want to get to that right now, Wesley Snipes freaking crushed
Yes,
it
yeah,
in this
absolutely.
movie.
It's his
Fantastic.
best movie.
It is take his whole career. I know he had his struggles and he played Blade and he had other heights and peaks and valleys and all that. It to me does not get better than Simon Phoenix for Wesley Snipes in his whole career.
No, fantastic.
Fantastic.
A huge part of that is the striped pants and checkered jacket.
And the
Oh, the
blonde,
blonde
flat top.
hair.
The blonde hair. Which apparently,
What's the term for someone that has two different color eyes?
oh yeah, heterochromia.
Heterochromia, yeah.
Iridis or iridis or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. And so he comes in, he goes, to give you context, Stallone is there looking for about 30 bus passengers that were hijacked and kidnapped by Simon Phoenix.
That's kind of a funny future foreshadow to Speed.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is. And so he says, look, I told, as you said before, he blocked this area out. He goes, I told the postman gets it, the policeman gets it, but the bus company just won't get it, right? Like I told you, nobody comes in here.
Right.
Right? And so he kidnapped these bus passengers, and he's basically saying, where are the hostages, whatever. And before he can really get an answer out of him, he lights the room on fire. And Simon Phoenix does.
Yeah. Just starts laughing like a maniac.
They're standing up to their chins in flames and fire, and the gun, like it's burned out of his hand.
Right.
Not before he flexes, though.
He's just standing there. They are contemplating, like, I think this room is on fire. Like, anybody want to get out of here? Maybe?
No, I'm just going to tackle him.
And not only is it on fire, but there's like lots of gas cans sitting around.
There's barrels of liquid C4.
Yes.
Yeah, what is?
Yeah, what was the
I
C4?
don't think they store C4 in barrel form.
It's the
I've
90s,
always
man.
seen it in little bricks in cases and stuff, but I don't know because that's in the movies. Maybe that's wrong, and they actually do. If you are a C4 expert,
That's right.
could you please reach
I'd
out
like
to
to
This Show
also-
Is Trash and tell us about the storage methods for 55 gallons of C4 at a time?
Yes, and will C4 explode if it's burned?
Yeah, that's the
Well,
other
you
thing.
need pressure and
That's why I assumed, because at this point he basically tackles Simon. They're again flames up to their chins.
Oh, but
they're having a conversation.
Pockets of flames.
But it's
nice little
when he
pocket.
first lights it, it's everywhere. Okay, but then they have a little wrestling match. He says, where are the passengers? Oh, I'd lose my head if I wasn't attached, and I can't remember.
foreshadow.
All that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And finally, he just fireman carries Simon Phoenix out of there as the room is burning, and he runs right past these stacked barrels
Yes.
that say C4
Yes.
on them.
initially I'm like, oh, I wonder if those are full of ninjas. No ninjas.
And I'm like, that's got to be liquid C4. Why else do you have it in a barrel?
Right.
Maybe it hadn't cured into solid form yet.
That's what
They're
it is.
manufacturing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the building,
The greatest
Vaporizes.
explosion. But
It
he's
goes off.
not clear that he's anywhere clear the building.
It's
Right,
Stallone.
no, no,
he's
does
still
that-
in the-
he does that sick ass Stallone.
I thought this movie was quick. They just blowed up
He's
inside the
literally
building.
still running down the hallway when this thing goes up. He would have been shot out of there like the barrel of a gun.
Barrels of
the whole building's vaporized, but the hallway he was running through is still fine.
Yeah.
It was protected by water.
He just comes walking out later. Like they didn't even like. Well, we'll
No.
show him getting out. He just assumed he got out.
He doesn't even look like Wile E. Coyote with like the black,
No.
charred face or anything
Seriously.
like that. Give me something.
But I was so distracted by the awesome explosion. I'm like, I don't
Yes.
And we get at least three that I can remember off the top of my head. 3 Stallone slow-mo running from explosions. First one when he's fireman carrying Phoenix
Yeah.
is the first one here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. When he gets out and the chief from Lethal Weapon,
Yes, the
Yeah.
captain from
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon.
Steve Kanan, is that his name?
Steve.
I think it's Kahan. I don't Kanan. I don't know how you say it, but I love this guy. And so as soon as I saw him, I thought, oh man, is he going to be a bigger part of this movie? I
Nope.
just don't remember him. But that's it. He only gets the one scene.
Yep.
Me and you can have a nice long chat.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought he was in Lethal Weapon.
But that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
It had to have been
It's still
let's get
filming.
the guy from Lethal Weapon.
He's like, we need a chief. They're filming Lethal
right.
Weapon over there. Why don't we grab him? All right, you can come.
You weren't supposed to go in. You weren't supposed to do anything. And now I got this building that's blown up, and he's doing the typical.
Wasn't me this time. He rigged the bomb to blow.
That's right. He dumped the gas and rigged the building to blow. But what Simon Phoenix does here is genius.
Yes.
He says to right in front of the police chief, I told him where the hostages were. He said he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he blew the building up anyway.
Yeah, this is a major problem in this film, though.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, yeah.
Well, because they thermal imaged the building on the way in and there was nobody there. He wouldn't have been the only one that looked at this thermal image camera and said, yeah, there's only however many
people,
and there was
people.
a gang
But
So
wait a
that's
second,
the
he was
third
already- but
problem
those people
I
were
didn't
already
even think
dead.
about.
But that shows us how he knew where to sneak up behind people and karate chop a guy
Yeah.
instead of shooting
The second problem is you're taking the word of a psycho
Yeah.
maniac, Simon Phoenix. And the third problem is I'm pretty positive. I watch a lot of murder stuff and listen to a lot of murder podcasts. I'm pretty positive by 96, coroners had come a long way to know that those people would have been dead before the explosion went off.
That's it. And unless because my first thing was maybe there was just so many little pieces of them you couldn't identify them.
Maybe,
But the guy does come on and say, there's bodies everywhere.
Everybody's
right?
everywhere.
And so you had bodies to look at. But really, all that doesn't matter because you need to get
for the
him.
plot.
Yeah.
You need to get him into the cryo prison for the whole plot to work.
Yes,
But you're right.
The other question I have is, did we have such cryo technology in 93, 96?
In 93, we didn't. In 96,
we
they
did.
thought
Okay.
we would.
They were hiding that from the general public, apparently.
Walt Disney's in there right now, man.
And why did they have to form them such weird positions?
I guess it's just however you are when you. So let's get to the cryo prison because Stallone gets convicted. They don't show this; they skip past it. But he's now got to spend 70 years in cryostasis, which I have all kinds of questions about. Like, is that really a prison sentence? Because you just when you come out, it's
supposed to be
over.
rehabbing them.
You're not supposed to be awake.
Be awake, but I guess you are.
But yeah, apparently he was.
But
How do you
regardless.
rehab them if some kind of brain function?
Well, they have some
had
kind
the
of thing that like
thing. You
fires
don't
into their
understand cryo prison.
Yeah, I don't. Obviously, thankfully, I've never been to cryo prison, so I'm good to go.
Questioning cryo prison.
Yeah.
So Stallone's got to spend 70 years. They put him in this big circular vat, which they fill with like this goopy. It looks like hand sanitizer,
Yeah,
right?
like
Jello
Jell-O without
consistency.
coloring in it. Yeah.
And he's kind of thrashing around in there, and so I think the positions are just how you are when it freezes you.
Yeah.
You know, but he is. You're right, and they're all totally naked. There's a lot of just naked cheeks throughout the frozen naked cheeks throughout this entire movie.
And I wonder how long it takes for their balls to show up after they thaw out.
I don't like if I'm going into cryo prison, I'm wearing drawers. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want anybody walking around like going, oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Why?
seriously.
It must be
For
cold
70
in there.
years. Wow, look at that guy.
To the
Or
women
that
out there, go
girl.
watch Demolition
that
Man.
lady. Yeah.
That's right.
There are frozen testicles.
There really are. There really are. Stallone was generous with his dummy too. So yeah. So
I don't think it's big enough. Yeah.
he had to approve the mannequin. Right? He's like this one. Here's what I will say about Stallone to give him props, and I would like to give him a hard time. We've just done another one recently. Cobra was not that long ago. Here we are doing another Stallone movie. I don't think the difference in performance could be any further apart than it is.
Oh, he's awesome in this movie.
But when he's lying across the frozen thing, you know, when he's coming in or coming out of the frozen goop, and looks like a Greek statue.
Yes.
The dude is 47 years old when he made this movie.
Yeah.
Props to Stallone.
I was
because
very
it's
impressed with his
ridiculous.
buttocks.
Was your wife?
Oh, she is. She's like, whoa, I think I saw
holy cow.
something there.
Chuck, that's just like you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not true, unfortunately.
All right, so we skip ahead.
But
to,
our women lie to us,
Yeah,
don't they?
that's true.
Make us feel better.
Yeah.
to the future now. We're now in 2032. They act literally of the future, even from us here. I thought for sure that a lot of these movies we talk about, it's the future, but we're already past it. But this is 2032, so there's still a chance we could have the San Angeles Metroplex.
That could still happen.
Yeah.
So maybe you can help me, Charles, from a geographic standpoint.
Yes.
She said it was the Santa Monica, San Diego, LA Metroplex.
Yes.
Are those all relatively close together?
Santa Monica, LA is pretty close.
Okay.
Malibu's pretty close.
Got it.
San Diego's probably 80 or 90, 100 miles south.
So it's a big
It's a
city.
big area, yeah.
Okay.
It's a huge. I
Which
mean,
is
it's all California, all kind of gloms into one giant thing.
Got it. Okay. See, that's some of the context I don't have because I've never been out there.
Yes.
But it's now called San Angeles. It's this huge metroplex of all these futuristic cities. And we want to talk about how they dress in the future because I can't figure out how to describe it.
Apparently, really shimmery stuff because everything glowed.
They all have like these flowing robes on.
Yes, it was like Asian.
I think that'd be
influence.
amazing.
They look
You think so?
They look like morons.
How
It's the
dare
hats.
you?
It's the hats,
No,
right? It's the weird hats.
They look like pansies.
If it had just been robes, fine. It looks comfy.
The weird part
Looks
is it's only
terrible.
9 years from now.
It's true. But
We've
at the
got time.
It was almost 40 years in the future from this point. So we are introduced when we first get to the future to Officer Lenina Huxley, played by Sandy Bullock.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Chicken brown cow.
very
much
Sandy was
yes,
looking.
very much.
I'll just say it. She was looking fantastic
awesome.
in this
Yep.
movie.
Yep.
First thing she does is call Warden Smithers, who's now much older, who's working at the cryo prison.
It's like the biggest weasel voice.
Hello, Lena Huxley.
Yes. Be well. The whole point of the scene is to just show that she's itching for some action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing
Right.
ever happens here anymore.
Literally, her computer says, no police presence required in the city. Go to the station.
She ditched her estrogen for testosterone fix.
Is that what it was?
That's what she wanted.
She's like, what I wouldn't give for some action,
Yeah.
right? And all this. And she says, or he kind of admonishes her, and off she goes to the police station. Okay, and this is where we meet the police and some of the characters at the police station, because we're still in that part of the movie, right? And the future, we find out, is crimeless. Okay, a murder hasn't happened since 2010 at this point, so 22 years. The only kind of criminal presence, we see the place they call the Ethical Plaza, right? And this graffiti machine comes up, graffitis, and then it's immediately taken away. And that's really the only criminal element that's in the city.
That's it. And they're all upset about the graffiti.
Yeah.
Horrible scourge upon society.
Graffiti is the only big crime in 2032. Calling all cars.
Why wasn't an all cars notified went out, right? Because
we don't want a great widespread panic.
That's right. When Lena gets to the police station, she says, "Has it been another uneventful morning?" He's like, "No, actually, it's been horrific, right? This tasteless graffiti."
Yes, the graffiti's so upset.
And this is where we get the police chief, played by Bob Gutton, the warden from Shawshank Redemption. Comes in and says, and kind of admonishes her for wanting to have some action, right?
Yep.
And basically says, "What? Hold on, I got it here."
You look like a penis with glasses on.
Yeah. There's no need to cause widespread panic and all this. And she says, "Thank you for the attitude readjustment. Info assimilated," right?
Yeah.
I just love the way they talk.
I know, the podcast was great.
They come up, they say things like "be well." They don't touch each other. Instead of high fiving, they get almost to a high five and then they wave. Because we find out physical contact greetings have been outlawed in the future.
Anything that is not 100% healthy is illegal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
we almost nailed that 2 years ago.
I was
There's
just
some
going to say
really close stuff in here. You know, we did our couple of years to flatten the curve before. That's why we're behind the curve. Because LA didn't destroy itself in 3 years.
The other thing that's interesting is my brain's not working well today. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, whatever I was going to say.
Whatever pops up, no, it's okay.
Yep.
We also find out that she's super into the 90s in the 20th century. And so she's got this office that looks nothing like the 90s, but the 90s was only 3 years old when they made this movie, so that's okay. She does have a Lethal Weapon 3 poster.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
Awesome. She also had the Jack Nicholson Joker doll in the background.
She does have that too. So a few things.
I was going to say self-driving cars. They had self-driving cars, so that might still be possible.
They nailed self-driving cars. Most of the futuristic stuff they didn't get right, but there's some societal things that they absolutely nailed.
Right. Trending that way.
So we'll talk about that as we get there. We are also introduced to Benjamin Bratt, who is one of the other police officers.
And Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Yes.
Lovely Lenina. He's almost doing his copy guy thing. She walks in.
Pre-Judge Dredd.
That's right, the year before. I'm only assuming Stallone did this movie with him and then thought, oh, let's get him for Judge Dredd.
We need that funny guy from the set.
Judge Dredd. He was in Judge Dredd with him.
He was. Just a year after this.
I still enjoy Judge.
Can I class up the place with some information?
Please.
Her name is Lenina Huxley.
Yeah.
So this was an homage to Brave New World, who was written by Aldous Huxley.
Really?
And the main character in that book is named Lenina Crown.
I had no idea.
So it's really kind of a take, and the whole concept of Brave New World is that we'll be entertained to death. There'll be no more emotion. It's all very controlled and all that. So whoever wrote this was clearly an homage to Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, which I think is an excellent book and probably more realistic on how
things are actually
control.
That's interesting. I see. I didn't know that, but that's awesome.
Yes.
The one thing I'll say before we move on.
Stop doing research.
Sorry.
Before we move on to to Simon Phoenix's parole hearing this is I think a good thing that encapsulates the police is when Benjamin Bratt comes into her office and he says things like, "Oh my gosh, your office! Is there anything that doesn't violate the contraband ordinance?" She goes, "Wouldn't you really love for some action?" And the way Benjamin Bratt goes, "Goodness, no."
Yeah.
Right? Like he's so
was great
serious.
In this. Yes.
He absolutely would be terrified of some actual action.
Yeah, well, you would rather something terrible and horrific happen just so that you could. Yeah.
All right, I got big questions about this. So now we cut back to the cryo prison, and here comes Simon Phoenix being wheeled in on a gurney, like a vertical gurney, basically with shackles and stuff. And this is his parole hearing. But
do they thaw these people out every so often just for parole hearing?
To parole them?
What's changed? They've just been frozen the whole time, right? And so
we got to see if this took.
He said something about parole act, but he never explains that.
Smithers Smithers.
Yeah,
Gordon Smithers.
I thought of him.
Just comes over, and you can tell he's not going to approve.
No,
He's like,
I don't think any of them get paroled. They just
keeps
saw
repeating
him
everything in
And
Spanish.
did you notice when she
That was
checked?
awesome.
Yeah, that apparently was his. He did improvise that, and they thought it was great, so they kept it in there.
Oh, that's hysterical.
That's awesome.
Quit doing research.
But if you look at the list, they're all like 15-minute increments of the parole hearings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so obviously they're not actually paroling anyone. They're just thawing them
when
out,
she pulls it
having
off.
them stand up. You're going back to
Parade.
prior freeze. Yeah.
Here's what happens, because as he's, do you have anything smart to say for yourself or whatever? And he says, yeah, I do. Teddy bear.
Yeah.
And the shackles come
Why
up.
is that the name?
Why would that be the code name?
Why
to
would there be a code
Why
at
is there a
all?
code? Yeah.
Why wouldn't there just be a lock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't say, like, what if they you could accidentally say teddy bear? You
Hey,
can't
I-
accidentally have the key and stick it in yourself.
I once
should have
bought
been
my
2
daughter
locks.
a teddy bear. Holy crap, I'm free.
How did you know the password to the cuffs? I wish I knew.
I wish I knew.
Which is the first with really kind of cool clue that
Yep.
even Snipes has no idea what's
Somebody's
happening here.
Yeah.
feeding
right.
him this information. Yeah.
He says
I have
teddy bear,
no
the
idea.
shackles flip up, and he absolutely annihilates the 3 guards and
MDK.
Smithers.
Yeah.
MDK. So he
187. 187.
pulls the eyeball out of Smithers' head with a pen.
Apparently they cut that back. that
did
was
they?
more gruesome. than
Oh,
the original
okay.
cut.
Uses it to scan his way out, and then you're right. Alarms start going off in the police station. Murder, death, kill. Murder, death, kill. 187. Like no one even
No
knows
one
what
knows.
the code
What's a
is.
He has to
187?
look
They had
up
to look it
L7. Look up what is 187, and then it's like this weird, like I don't know, code matching thing.
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
Except
murder, death,
the
kill.
old school pilot knew what a 187
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh,
Bill
Zach
Cobb.
Lamb.
Zach
so
Lamb.
Let's talk about Zach Lamb. That guy only had a few lines in the movie, and he was awesome.
He had the
was in
best
it.
info. He was the best info dump.
He was
guy.
the info. He was the exposition info
Yes.
dump
Yeah.
guy.
But the way he delivers it and builds it up is
Right.
wonderful.
We do see a sneak preview of him as a young man. He's actually the pilot that
the
flies
pilot.
John Spartan in when he jumps out at the very beginning of the movie, and now he's an old man.
It was actually the actor who played the younger pilot. Not to go back, but he's
No, it's fine.
also Agent Johnson in Die Hard and
Die Hard, yeah.
and Balrog in Street Fighter.
And isn't he the dude from Free Jack that helps him out, that brings him to the boat that ends up getting blown up?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That same guy. Now, all these alarms are going off in the police station. Wee, wee, and you get the cop. Zach Lamb in the background goes, "It's Phoenix," right?
Yeah.
Simon Phoenix. And I love this line. He goes, "He's evil in a way you've never read about."
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And
The way he played that was so great. He's like, "Oh, you guys are in big trouble." It's like this pansy, sissy world we live in. You're in big trouble.
here's my question. Is the whole world like this? Can we
That's
just
a great question.
can we just get a cop from the next town over?
Seriously.
Right.
Well, it's a valid question because we find out in 2010 there was a major earthquake that basically, I guess, just leveled that whole area, and so they
Which
rebuilt.
makes sense because California, right?
But yeah, I wondered about that too. Like
think
maybe
it's-
go to Mexico and get some cops, or Canada, or
Are they the only
East Coast?
left in existence? Because the
I think it was our question was answered later on in the film.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Kato's plan, I think, is he.
So Cocteau's his utopia has spread across the
I
entire.
think he wants it to spread across the entire,
but it hasn't.
but it hasn't. yet. I
Okay,
don't
so then
think it
yeah,
has.
why now can't just bust somebody in from New Mexico or something? Like, why are we having to
well,
get?
they obviously are very brainwashed by their cult leader to think
Okay.
that he's
I mean,
the
it's not
only
much
way
has
to
not much has
live.
changed in California.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's true. Yes, that's true.
Keep that shit over there.
All right.
Cocteau Newsom, maybe.
Keep your cocktails to yourself.
What kind of name is that, anyways? Where'd they come up with that name?
What's like a bird, isn't it, or something?
Cockatiel.
Cockatiel, maybe.
Cocktail.
It's like kind of like I don't know. I like in the scene how Lenina does some actual police work. She's
Yes,
the only
she's pretty
one.
good at it,
Yeah.
actually.
Everyone
Oh,
just
yeah.
kind of freezes, but she's like, "All right, she pulls up the parole schedule. She finds out where the doctor's conveyance is and tracks him, and is the only one doing legit police work,
Yep.
which I loved.
But it's awesome how she's doing it.
No, it's great, and tracks the car after another murder, death, kill in the parking lot
Right.
to the corner of Wilshire and Santa Monica.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's where all our problems
And the best part,
begin.
all right. And the chief of police is like, all right, great. So protect, serve, the corner of
Yes,
Wilshire and
that was-
Santa
that
Monica.
was
What an idiot.
Oh yeah. Here we go. We're good.
That's why you're a penis with glasses.
6 officers, protect, serve.
guy.
They're like, we got no problem. We'll be fine.
Proceed with extreme
Yeah.
assertiveness.
And all of us who lived in the 90s are like, oh, you guys are in trouble.
Oh my
This
god.
is so good. I love this whole exchange. They walk up and it's like they got
Yeah,
to read
you
the freaking manual. You know, he's got his PDA in front of him.
Tutorial.
With the, he's
so
running
great.
through the tutorial level real
Maniac.
quick.
Maniac.
Approach and say with a more firm voice.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell the maniac to get down on the ground. And so Simon Phoenix just set up what happened. He gets out of his car before the cops get there. And there's, again, talk about nailing some things about the future. He walks up and there's this guy standing at this computer kiosk. I just don't think there's anything special about me. You are an extremely sensitive person that inspires joy feelings and all those around you. And I'm like, 2023, this is pretty.
That was great.
Pretty accurate.
My wife immediately thought of Futurama in the suicide booth.
Yes. Yes.
Which is like a totally opposite direction. Yeah, your life does suck.
Technology's
how
gonna
would you
go
like
one
to
way or the
die?
other.
Yeah.
So he goes and gets the guy away and throws him away from the computer kiosk and
And it
uses
starts to ask him that too.
That's
He's
right.
like, whatever.
You look great today.
I feel great today.
And he starts to type and he basically hacks the mainframe of the town.
Yeah.
Damn, what's this?
Right, he
Looks like
says he's
I played the accordion
possessed.
too.
Yeah.
He says that because he didn't know he could do all this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we find out later his rehab program had been hijacked by Cocteau and they'd taught him all of this stuff.
which was surprisingly easy to find out.
It's an action movie.
Cocteau's not very good at covering his
Yeah, I'm like,
tracks.
delete
very
those
well.
files.
He's
maybe?
a rich, powerful guy.
Or at least put him beyond a stronger access denied.
Yeah,
Access denied.
seriously.
Okay, I'll just punch in a couple more things and get access.
Access undenied.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Oh, wow! Look at how horrible he
I would
did.
like to see this information. No, I would really like to
that's
see
about
this
how this is
information.
their
All right,
culture.
here you go.
Okay,
Access
since you
undenied.
asked nicely, you can have it.
Hold on, I got my access undenied card.
So he's able to hack everything. He's looking for a weapon. He goes, "Come on, Hal," which is a reference to 2001, right?
Yep.
Where are the damn guns, right? And then he gets fined. And this is the first time we see people can get fined for swearing.
I would be screwed.
No, the first time is Lenina in her office.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Lenina
That was awesome. That whole
sanctimonious
thing.
asshole. And
That was
boom,
great.
it goes off.
Yeah. Half credits. Made me wonder how many credits they get.
So he goes, "What? F you." And he goes, and it goes off again.
Or continued. Please remain here while
Police are on their way.
police are on their way.
He said, "The police are fast."
You guys are fast.
One of my biggest questions when people tell when you think I'm gonna listen to a flippant AI to tell me please stay where I'm at
Yeah,
while the
really,
police
right.
arrive.
Yes.
Well,
Right
and
where you are.
that's in that portion. I mean, you're from the '90s still, so no, you wouldn't.
No.
No.
But in the future
Like
you
Phoenix.
would because you're scared of the cops.
The police show up. They've got the tutorial, right? He's telling them, get down
They've
on the
got
ground.
their stun sticks.
Got their stun batons.
batons.
Simon turns around. He's like, "Oh, there's 6 of you in such nice, tidy uniforms. You guys don't have sarcasm anymore." And the best part of the cop goes, "Maniac has responded with a scornful remark." Like they don't even know how to
I
process
know,
it,
it's
right?
great. It's
Oh
great.
yeah.
Tell him to lay down again and add the words "or else." Well, that doesn't go well.
That
No,
Not
it
feel
does
good.
not.
Because the second the words "or else" comes
Yeah,
out of this
yeah,
guy's mouth,
yeah.
everything changes. Right?
Yeah.
It just Snipes does this great turnaround towards fries the one guy with the anti-graffiti
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Then
dangerous.
turns around and beats the crap out of these cops.
Rob Schneider's reaction was great. We're police officers. We're not trained to handle this kind of
Yeah, that
violence.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is your
Police
job.
officers. I'm not trained to handle this kind of violence. I know. That was
Oh
awesome.
my god.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But here's my question. As he's beating these guys up, one guy tries to get in his car. Did they also give him super strength? Because he yanks with one arm
Oh,
this
yeah.
dude out
They actually
of the
did
car.
that. That
and
was
he
one of the
flies
things.
20 feet through the air with one hand. He just rips him out of there.
Well, maybe he's just super strong and they're super wussy.
That's still a
They don't weigh
200-pound guy, right? That he throws with like it was nothing, which I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't know if they'd given him superpowers or what also, but he yanked that dude with one arm. Now it cuts to after he basically uses a stun baton to blow up the police car and get away. Okay.
Battery gel or
The
something.
battery capacitance gel.
Capacitance
I love all the
gel.
little words in this movie. They're fantastic.
That's
They
100%
paid attention to detail a lot in this
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, it's
Very
good.
good.
We finally get to meet Dr. Cocteau, the guy that's in charge, okay? The one that's made this whole utopia other than the people living underground, which we'll get to in a little bit. he's sitting in it's like a Zoom call meeting, but everyone has their own screen.
Own monitor that can move around.
Instead of talking to one monitor that then gets assimilated out to every other one, they actually have it.
Well, they didn't know how it was
50 people on a call and you had to have 50 different monitors.
Seriously.
Trash cans turning around, following you around.
It reminded me of those. Have you ever seen those little stands that have like gyroscopes and wheels? And you put an iPad on them and they can move around.
Yes.
It reminded me of that, except they were stuck to the floor.
Those would be fantastic.
Yeah.
He basically is talking to these guys about how the graffiti is the big problem and we have to end the. I'm like, okay, graffiti is this big problem, and so your solution is Simon Phoenix. Is that a little bit of overkill?
Seriously.
Like, what? You're gonna call this guy in?
I didn't get my mail today. Nuke the post office.
Right.
Well, it's Friendly he wants to kill.
It's Edgar Friendly, who is the leader of the resistance. Well, it's not even called the resistance. They're just people that don't want to live by Cocteau's plan,
Right.
by his way of life.
Dennis
so they live
Leary
underground.
being Dennis Leary.
Yeah, full stand-up mode.
Yeah, later he launches into his full stand-up routine. Kind
That's
of
the only
like
reason they cast him.
that's the only reason that he was having a big
Who else
moment.
did that in a recent, not recent episodes? But who else did that in our?
Chris Rock did it in Lethal Weapon 4. That's the one I always think of. He literally launched into a bit about cell phones in the middle of the movie. And I'm like, he's just doing stand-up at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so he gets on the Zoom call. He basically starts talking about how they've got to take care of this problem when the police chief calls him to tell him what's going on with Simon Phoenix. And Cocteau tells the chief, do everything in your power to apprehend this dangerous criminal, right? And so
Well, little did Cocteau know.
the only smart thing the police chief does in the entire movie is listen to Zach Lamb and Lena Huxley.
Best monologue.
Because he comes into the station and Lena asks the question, Zachary Lamb, how was Phoenix apprehended back in the 20th?
Right.
So a four-state manhunt, a spot on Unsolved Mysteries or whatever.
Satellite surveillance.
But in the end, it came down to one man, one cop.
John Spartan.
That's right. They called him the Demolition Man. And they get this, maybe the best part of the entire movie, is that they show the clip of him carrying the little girl.
Yeah.
What justifies you blowing up a $7 million mini mall to rescue a woman whose ransom was only $25,000? F you, lady. Good answer.
No, it's not a woman. It's a little girl.
Oh, little girl. I
That's
apologize.
what's
9-year-old.
Doesn't he say I agree or something?
He goes,
like that?
good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Other just whipping one guy, throws one guy on top of the hood, karate chops one guy over
Right.
here.
She's like, is this real life? And it's funny because also, the line is funny, the girl says this, but also the fact that John couldn't save this girl without destroying the entire
mall,
mini
yeah.
mall.
Right.
So great.
Right. And as he always says, I just do my job and things get demolished. He doesn't
right.
try to demolish anything. Right. And they're kind of still going like, I mean, even the chief is like, you really think we're going to like let this guy loose in the city? It's a bad idea. And then Zach Lamb, again, awesome guy. His one line that finally seals the deal. He goes, Simon Phoenix is an old-fashioned criminal. We need an old-fashioned cop.
There you go.
Off to the races.
And we're off to the races.
Yep. And she says, this is the only idea we have. And he's like, I don't think it's a good idea.
So we cut to now John Spartan is being wheeled out of cryo, kind of groggy and out of it.
Well, his balls are still frozen. I would be PO'd.
I'm trying to wake up. He's like, yo, somebody give me a Marlboro, right?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll get you one. Wait, what's a Marlboro?
A cigarette, any cigarette.
Right. Everything that's not good for you is illegal. So he finds out that, cigarettes, contact sports, salt,
Caffeine, chocolate.
Protein and meat.
I'm eating chocolate and caffeine right now as we're filming this.
And we're very disappointed.
That's right.
And then his first time swears and he gets to meet the machine.
Yeah.
See the machine. And the next scene is great because it's kind of John's crash course into the future. So they get him suited up in a cop uniform and they bring him into SAPD. And the one cop comes up and he tries to do the phantom high five. And he does the bro handshake. He's like,
The whole thing.
what's up?
She goes,
Guys-
we don't really touch each other anymore.
And he's horrified that this happened. He comes over to Lena and he goes, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're out of toilet
paper. And they all, what's
They
toilet
laughing
paper?
at him,
And she
right?
says,
Oh,
in the
they use-
20th century used to wad up paper and
And they laugh like it's the
they laugh.
stupidest thing ever.
Well,
He doesn't know the seashells.
And that's the thing, it's like as kids would do if you didn't know something basic,
Right.
We're not going to help you. We're not going to tell you. We're just going to laugh at you because you don't know.
So probably Rob Schneider, maybe one of the most well-known lines in the entire movie is he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
That is great.
Okay.
So we're going to let this out of the bag. Now, Stallone, this isn't something we found on our own. He has come on record and finally explained what the seashells were for.
Pinch and scoop.
That's right. I know there's people that probably don't know still that haven't heard it. So
What is it?
thank you, or you're welcome. But apparently you're to take 2 of the seashells and use them as like pinchers, and you're to pinch and grab the stuff out of your butthole.
And then use the
third one to scoop and scrape off the excess.
Can I just say, don't do that?
No.
Why?
Get a bidet.
I like how
Well,
it
I
says.
mean,
I was
like-
just gonna say, why can't you just use toilet paper and a bidet?
Seriously, bidets
Bidet
are the
technology
future.
existed then.
Listen, this is a public service announcement. Everybody needs to go out and buy a bidet. It will change your life.
Oh, really?
It's amazing.
Nothing like cold water shot up your
If
booty.
you've got hemorrhoids, it'll take care of those for you.
Wow.
You use much less toilet paper. It's awesome.
See all that you're learning on Bad
All
Movies
of my
Rule?
houses
Can you get the
bathrooms have
warm water?
bidets.
Is it-
We've never
I
been.
do not have the warm water bidet, but
sounds weird,
But in
Charles.
the summer,
That
it's
sounds like
it's
someone shooting a super
refreshing.
soaker at my butthole.
It's exactly what it is, and it works perfect.
We have
It's
never,
amazing.
we
My
have never been
butthole
more of an
is-
old man podcast than we are right now.
No.
My butthole is so smooth, it's unbelievable.
How did Ron White say it?
I got nothing for this.
100,000 gay men can't
My
be
favorite
wrong.
part about this explanation, though, my
go
favorite
ahead,
part
sorry.
about this explanation of the seashells is
Yes.
it says in the IMDb quote, no explanation was made about how they were to clean or sanitize between uses.
Between uses, no. That's what the bidet was for. Then they would just
Yeah,
rinse them
that's
off in the bidet. All right, so he comes out after all that, and
Next Christmas party, I'm buying you all bidets.
just give me
I'm
3
buying you
seashells.
seashells.
please. That's it. He sees Zach Lamb standing there, and he's like, Zaggy recognizes him now that he's old, and they have this kind of very 20th century interaction, right?
Right.
It's like, shit, you were a damn good pilot. No, right? And they speak to each other in the most profane manner, but they appear to be friends.
Yes. And all the while, the thing's going off. So 100 credits,
Burn.
1
This is how our
You hear it in the background.
20th century heterosexual males used to bond.
Used to
Yeah,
bond.
I
That's
like
right.
the heterosexual
Insecure.
males part.
Yeah.
Insecure heterosexual males.
It's secure.
But the best part about that too is he goes over to the cussing machine
Yes.
and he
Yes.
cusses a whole bunch so he can get paper. Then he walks to the bathroom to go use
So
the
much for the
toilet.
seashells.
Yeah, so
Yes.
much for the seashells.
After just finding out how to use them, I would be doing the same thing. He could be
Yes.
scraping my
I
butt.
can't repeat what he says because that's the most, cursing that happens in the whole movie in that 5-second span, but it's absolutely hilarious.
Funny.
And yeah, so then he comes back, and now they're trying to figure out and formulate, after we get the crash course into the future, how are we going to catch Simon Phoenix, right? And so he finds out that people were coded and have these organic chips in their hands. Now, Simon didn't have one, so it limits what he can do, but he does, the police chief does tell Stallone, he says, we had yours implanted the moment you thought, why don't you just shove a leash up my ass?
Yeah.
And they both look at the swear machine.
His interactions, every time they have a scene together, Stallone's interactions with the police chief are always gold.
They're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gold.
Because Bob Gooten just plays a natural bad
D-bag.
D-bag.
Yeah,
He's a
for
great,
sure.
one of the great D-bags, character D-bags of film history.
He says, our computer has already determined what Simon is going to do. He's going to set up a new drug ring and start a crime syndicate.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, 2 lovebirds. That's really stupid.
Right. He says, no, he's just going to go get a gun. That's literally the first thing he
Gun.
needs
Yeah.
is a
The
gun.
only way you would even find a gun here is in a museum.
Yeah. Right.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yes.
ding, ding.
Welcome
such a
to
great
the
moment.
Hall of Violence.
Yes. Well, before that, they get in the car to go to the museum.
The car is great.
They get the radio stations. Like, you want to listen to some
Oldies
music?
station.
yes.
Oh, what a relief. And the oldie
different
station is
hot
just
dog
commercials. It's all commercials.
Fat
It's not even
kids,
music.
sissy kids, kids who climb on rocks, fat kids, skinny kids, even kids with chicken pox love hot dogs. Armor hot dogs. The dogs kids love to bark.
Is that a real song?
From back in the day, maybe. I don't know.
So we put me back in the fridge.
But
Can I just say one thing that made me...
I love that he went to
when you've 2 seconds, but when you've outlawed anything that could be offensive.
Yes.
I love that they realized that music would essentially be dead.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's anyway. Yes.
I was thinking about this, the oldie station, right? That's what it was called.
Yeah.
It's disturbing to me now that when I listen to oldie stations, when it comes up on my car thing, you know, what stations? This is oldie stations. They're playing songs from middle school and high school.
I know, dude.
My
I heard
middle
Green
school,
Day.
high school. Yes.
It was probably
I'm
like
like,
8 years ago, the first time I heard Green
Seriously.
Day on the oldies
Remember,
station.
we were
Like,
kids.
really?
They're playing like 50s music,
Right.
60s music.
Right, you're
and
like,
now
round, round,
it's-
get around, I get
They still
around
play
it.
that, but they just mix it in like it's the same
Oh,
thing.
I was
now.
so depressed
Now
when I
it
heard
goes
that the
fr-
first time.
Now it goes from Rockin' Robin to
REM.
Aria.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses
That's
is
me
now
in the
considered
corner.
Yeah.
old.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I love
But
at
that's
that
a great
point.
observation, though, about how
Right.
music dies. I mean, there's
Music would
no
die.
creativity left anymore in their society.
No, for sure.
I love the scene right there when they get in the car and he's like, "I'll drive," you know, and he hops in the front and she's like, "Okay." She gets in the back and everything. He's looking at it and like,
You drive.
"All right, fine, you drive."
All right, fine. Go ahead.
Did we ever find out like what? Well, I was always curious about this. I wanted to ask Clint about it. The car model, like what they made the electric car out of in this movie.
I
no
have,
idea.
I have IMDb
tell.
on that if you'd like.
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
Most of those cars apparently were Chevy or GM product. What are they
Like
called?
concept cars?
Concept cars.
Interesting.
And some of them were just straight up Camaros from the 90s that they
Yeah.
just covered up a little bit different.
Well, I know when they're having later on, they do the car chase. You can see if you look in the background, some of those cars they put like Dodge Vipers and things like that would look like maybe they were futuristic,
Yes.
but weren't really futuristic cars. Yeah.
I think most of them actually were GM because some of them look like the old Impalas and stuff.
Well, yeah, the ones underneath,
big
underground,
round-
definitely were, yeah.
Bulbous Caprices that they had.
So they
for a
just
while.
dropped like a hard case over the.
Yep.
Okay.
It's, yeah,
Nice.
so that's what they said that they were like, concept cars. A lot of them.
So we get to the museum and it's like, yeah, like I said, welcome to the Hall of Violence. And here comes Simon Phoenix strolling in like he owns the joint.
Yeah, he just
Bumping
takes
into
one
people.
guy's head and runs it into the plexiglass.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's in there. He's trying to punch his way. He sees all these guns encased in this exhibit.
Kick, stomp.
Punch all the stuff. This dude walks up, this poor museum employee.
Help you?
Excuse me, sir. What seems to be your boggle?
Boggle. I know.
Boggle.
It's your
How much do you weigh? Grabs the guy, throws him
Throws him
through the glass
Yes.
to get all these guns. And I love the little nod to Stallone. He goes, "Excuse me, Brambo, I need to borrow them."
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yep.
I love too how in the Hall of Violence, the armory room, they had all the ammunition with the.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Where'd all the bullets
Yeah,
come
they
from?
just load them all up. We'll just stack them all here.
Make sure when we put these guns in the exhibit, you also include the bullets and make sure they're all fully
I
loaded.
thought it's funny too. The cannon. Did you see the stack of cannonballs next to the cannon as well? Like,
Let's go. Fire them off, man.
And he gets the electric gun and he's like,
Well, he
asking
goes, yeah, it's the
machine how to
future.
use it.
He's like, it's the future.
Yeah.
Where are the phaser guns, right?
yeah, right. He's like, oh, look at
What
these.
need batteries? We're gonna get batteries in the future. Is there a Radio Shack around? That's right. And two other
What size?
Yeah.
What size battery?
the two other guys walk in. They're like, without even looking, he shoots them too. He goes, "Where's the Radio Shack?"
That's right. Oh, it's such a great, and these kind of scenes, it's literally just Wesley Snipes playing around
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and going
He's a
to like
great
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Having as much fun with the role as possible. He's adding his little like, ooh, hoo, 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 like
Yes.
he's leaping
Yep,
around.
yep.
He sees the
Yeah.
cannon, all the stuff that's not on the page of the script
No.
when you get it as an actor. And so, again, Snipes crushed it in this movie. Eventually, the walls come down to in case you are now contained to the Hall of Violence, right?
Right.
Like, patron, the police are on the way, whatever. So he uses the cannon to blast his way out, right as John Spartan, who he leaves the other two, Benjamin Bratt and Sandra Bullock outside. He's like, wait here, goes inside. All he's got is a baton.
Yeah, I like how he hits the guy with. How does this work? He hits the guy in the head and he faints.
All right, awesome.
All right, does it work? That'll work.
The door, the wall that had come down explodes, and Stallone comes in and he goes, "Bad aim, Blondie," and slides in, and there's just guns laying around that he can
Everywhere.
also
Yeah,
get.
right,
Like a
right,
pocket
right,
of
right.
guns.
So
right
now
there.
he gets his own guns, and he goes, "Spartan, John Spartan, don't let anybody into this century." Right?
That was hilarious. Yeah.
They have this awesome kind of shootout, but there's one thing I want to highlight just from a filmmaking standpoint here. There are certain moments in movies where, like, the hair on your arm can stand up. It's what I call kind of kinetic action. When you got the script perfectly married with the action and the sound effects on screen working together almost like music, it creates these awesome moments. And what happens here is you get the shot of Wesley Snipes coming up into frame, says, "I've been thinking about killing you for 40 years," fires the gun, it punctuates the sentence,
Yep.
shatters the glass, comes over to Stallone. Yeah, well, keep dreaming. Cock of the gun, boom. It's like all kind of like a rhythm to it.
That was great.
It's so freaking good.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah.
Been dreaming about killing you for 40 years. Let's go. And here's this gunshot or gunfight through this museum. And you imagine what the people who haven't probably heard a gun fired their entire life are thinking.
No,
Running for the hills. There's this preserved landscape from LA underneath the museum that
from
they had,
1996.
from the earthquake. They had preserved it there, and it looks like a street scene. There's a car, a corner store.
That museum in Milwaukee with the streets of Milwaukee or whatever.
Right, imagine that from the 90s.
Right, yeah.
When we're 100 years old and we go to the museum, they're going to be like, this was a Costco.
This used to be an RC hobby shop.
That's right.
Exactly. And they start fighting, and eventually the phaser gun comes online. It's got to charge for like 2.5 minutes or whatever. And he shoots the thing, and it blows up, and he's like, I love this gun. The interesting thing is Stallone doesn't know that Simon Phoenix can fight now really, really well.
Right.
And so he starts kind of beating the crap out of John Spartan down on,
Yes,
on
before
the
he
floor.
when
He gets 10 times stronger too.
at the very beginning, he dove on him and beat him up, and Wesley Snipes didn't really do anything.
No, because he's more of a criminal mastermind than he was like a fighter,
Right.
like a physical fighter.
But then they unlock Wesley Snipes mode.
I do like when he picks up the TV by the cord. That thing would be heavy, dude. Just start swinging that around. Just blast
He hits him
with
like
it.
twice with the TV.
Those stunt guys,
flying,
man.
dude.
Hats off to the stunt people in that movie.
So eventually Simon climbs up out of the street scene and gets out of the museum, and he's ahead of Stallone, who's trailing behind him by a good amount at this point. And he runs into Cocteau. Simon Phoenix does.
Yep.
And he thinks he's going to shoot him and kill him, but for some reason he's not able to. And Cocteau starts to just walk around him.
Yeah.
And this is where we realize he is the one that woke him up and programmed him.
That scene in general, again, that was another one of those like, holy crap, that's because, think back the first time you saw it. I saw this once when it was new, and I had forgotten parts of it. And this is one of the parts that I didn't quite, I remember they had this interaction, but I didn't remember the menacingness of it. And it's like, this is good stuff.
It's great.
All right, it's the first time watching this movie, though. I knew that Cocteau was a bad guy almost immediately. Like, it's not surprising that he's the one that's doing
the tiny
all
drink
that.
that gave it away?
Yeah, the tiny drink. So, I mean, I like how it all worked and developed, obviously, but it was not a surprise. That he was. I thought some of the effects they did with like his eyes, and his mind trying to figure out what was going on were pretty good.
Don't you have someone to kill? Isn't there a thought rattling around in that brain of yours?
Like it triggers them that thoughts and
that like subconscious programming.
Yep.
And so he's not able to pull the trigger. He literally programmed so he couldn't kill Cocteau.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so eventually Stallone is catching up. He's like, gotta go, Saved by the Bell, and off Simon Phoenix runs. And now Spartan catches up to Cocteau. And this is where Cocteau finds out that they thought out John Spartan.
Yes.
He's like, what the frick is going on here? The police chief shows up. He's like, well, you told us to do everything in our power.
And you could tell he's like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yes, I did. But what he does to smooth things over is he invites John Spartan to Taco Bell.
Dude. Can I invite you to dinner and dancing or
At Taco Bell.
the two of
Lord
you at
knows I
Taco
wouldn't
Bell?
mind
And
a burrito.
Sylvester Stallone's like, what the hell's going on?
A great acting
he was
take from
so
Stallone.
great.
That moment of looking forward to it. Right?
Yeah. Well, then before they're going to the museum and that little camera thing pops up.
Right.
He's like, "Did you see that?" And he's like, "I can't figure out what's going on."
Like,
Never mind. I
Stop
don't
trying
know
to
what's
figure
going
this
on.
out.
That was look on his face like Taco Bell. What's going on?
You don't expect the governor to be like, well, let's go to Taco Bell,
And
right?
Sandra Bullock's all excited. Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
This is also the first time in the movie Bullock does that thing she does where she's like, Simon Phoenix has really matched his meat. You really licked his ass.
Those were so
So good.
Those
She
were
mixes
so
her metaphors.
awesome.
Yeah.
Met his match and kicked
And
his
he's
ass.
like, yeah, that was
Met his match and kicked
ass.
his ass.
That
Met
was
his
so
match and
Let's
great.
blow this guy
Yeah.
away. Whatever.
You really licked his ass.
Yeah. He's like,
think that
you
was
really
my
have a way
favorite
with
one.
words.
I think that was the best metaphor she messed up.
But she does it so straight is
Yes,
what makes
she
it
does.
sell.
Yeah.
So because
She sells
says
it.
She sells
Well,
it
what's so
perfectly
funny is
straight.
that's how someone who studied stuff like history would act, right? So
Right.
if you went back in time and tried to act like that, you know that's how that would be. You'd get
Yeah.
all those idioms totally wrong. and people will be like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?"
So we go back to SAPD for a little bit here, and this is where we get Stallone has this great line where he's, all right, so let me get this straight. It's basically Sprockets here, who's the man in charge. The mayor Gov wants to take me a dinner at Taco Bell. Lord knows I wouldn't mind a burrito. Also the guy that built the cryo prison, right?
Right. Yeah, right.
And this is where he's starting to kind of put things together. And I do like how they did realize TikTok was going to be a thing in the future, right? Because Benjamin Bratt goes, it's just a matter of TikToks until he comes.
Yeah, their little slang things were pretty funny.
It's good stuff.
We'll just wait for another code to go
I
red.
love Benjamin Bratt in this.
And then when he performs another murder, death, kill, we'll know exactly where to get him. Great plan.
He likes your plan, Chief. Yeah, the chief is just like, we'll just wait for him to kill somebody again.
True, that was funny. And Stallone's like, what is wrong with these people?
And then we'll know exactly where to get him, right? Like,
that's the little things right
idiots,
there.
Right? The little moments.
Where Stallone just kind of just has that look on his face. You're just like, I didn't see that last time. That's
no. And Schneider throwing in he likes your plan, Chief.
Yeah.
I just say, too, at some point in here, I wrote this in my notes.
Yeah.
Bullock and Stallone have really good chemistry together.
I thought they did, too.
It bothers me that there's 18 years between them.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, as far as, like, they really work well together.
No,
they ever
but
do
if
any other movies together?
I don't think they had ever done anything else together, and they did have great chemistry. And I thought about the age gap too, but I also figured, she's an adult woman who would have definitely been looking up to and was obsessed with the 20th century. And so here comes this guy that is like the embodiment of that. Like,
who didn't age 30 years.
Who didn't age 30 years. Yeah, right, for sure.
But they really were good together. I really enjoyed their performances.
It's really shocking when you've watched so many movies where there's just no chemistry between the romantic leads. That when it actually works, when you actually get a chance to watch a decent movie, you're like, oh my gosh, I almost can't take it.
Yeah, it's true. And I didn't even think it had to go romantic. I mean, they went there, but it didn't. They almost felt more like friend. They just were connecting, but they just were really great.
For sure.
Enjoyed them together.
All right, so it's time to go to Taco Bell.
Which was actually at Taco Bell's headquarters.
Was it really?
Yes.
That's even better.
Yeah, which was not far from where I grew up, actually, in Orange County.
They're driving along, and she says, I was perusing the Schwarzenegger library, and...
I knew this. I knew it. The presidential presidential library. James would love if Schwarzenegger became president.
He goes, stop, he was president.
But I like, too, they're smart enough to know, well, he's not a natural born citizen, so she answers that question.
His popularity at the time.
61st Amendment. I'm like, jeez, that's a lot of amendments.
They added more amendments?
Yeah.
Just to make, you know what they should have? Just to make Schwarzenegger president, they made a whole damn amendment to the Constitution. Let's go.
It's funny that he did turn out to be governor of California, though, for
they almost got that one right.
Or whatever it was.
Right?
Yeah.
Stop. He was president.
That was so great. Just the Rambo thing earlier, and then the Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was great.
They get to Taco Bell and they find out that Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise war.
Yeah.
I want a whole movie about the franchise war.
I want to watch this. I want to see the part where Taco Bell and KFC and A&W all start infighting because they're owned by the same people.
Well,
they just kicked Pepsi's ass.
They must have teamed up to take out McDonald's first.
McDonald's was the big
and then
one.
Burger King, and then
once McDonald's fell, then the rest were like Domino's, right?
Taco Bell
but in a
seceded
world
from
with
the
no
Pepsi.
meat, no red meat, you'd think Chick-fil-A would have ascended or Popeyes.
Something.
Right?
That's why I want to see this movie, man.
And I love the
that's why
plates are
Taco
all their little Taco Bell specials, but little tiny, like gourmet Taco Bell food.
I thought about this. Taco Bell won because they were the most efficient. They were the only ones that could take 6 ingredients and still offer you 97 different menu items.
For real. Once they started to turn on each other, though, that's when it was over. Right? Once Taco Bell, they used KFC to win, and then turned around and killed them.
They band together to take out the Happy
From
Meals.
a movie thing, though, it's awesome they didn't explain it. They just drop it, right? And so we can have this conversation, start thinking about what would that have actually looked like.
I think Long John Silver's was the first loser out of that group. Right? You don't see them anymore, do you? They're gone.
So many of these movies spend so much time and effort trying to do world building, and then in a little easy moment like this, they do a ton of world building by just dropping the franchise wars. Now all restaurants are Taco Bell. And Stallone's like, no way.
And the Taco Bell's like super gourmet, like it has valets and he's all super proper.
Taco Bell.
So great.
And they got Dan Cortez singing Jolly Green Giant.
Yes,
You remember that guy?
Yeah, I don't know who the guy
He was MTV VJ for a while, and he would do like these sports shows on MTV.
Okay.
And then he's just kind of one of those guys that will host a show every once in a while. But it was just so random. It's such a 90s thing to have Dan Cortez do a cameo.
And it's such a great callback to the oldies, right? That they talked about.
Valley of the Jolly Green Giants.
Doing a full lounge version.
All right, they have this sit-down dinner with Cocteau, and it almost immediately goes bad, right? Where he starts talking about, what do you think of our future? And he says, well, considering how it was when I went in, I thought the future would be a rotting cesspool. And he starts talking about, well, you weren't here when it got really bad and people tried to destroy themselves. And my utopia is so much better. And he goes, maybe you can book me a flight out of here when the sermon's over, right?
Yeah.
Does not go over well at the table. No. He says, John, you surely would have died for your crimes in prisons. Surely even you can see this is a humane thing, the cryo prison. He's like, no, man, I was awake the whole time. I remember my wife beating her fists against the ice and all this stuff. And he goes, it would have been more humane to stick me down to the crows, right?
Yeah.
And except he says the effing crows, and everybody gasps. And I know your favorite line in the whole movie, because the lady, the kind of posh, aristocratic lady across the table says to him, what would you say if I called you a brutish fossil, a symbol of a decayed era gratefully forgotten?
I don't know. Thanks. My favorite line in the whole movie. Love it.
So we haven't talked about Associate Bob yet.
No, let's talk about Bob.
He is amazing. In that scene, he's great. He's like, ooh. He's like,
it's almost all nonverbal.
Yes, he's great in this. And I think he made him a eunuch. I think IMD said.
Oh,
he's
really?
A eunuch.
Yeah.
So he's like the
Associate Bob.
Yeah, Associate Bob. And I love how he's like, I'll be your associate. Like,
He'll just
take it next guy.
He jumps like 3 times.
He jumped to three different teams.
Yeah. Well, before dinner can be finished, Dennis Leary and the goons from underground have come up and are raiding the Taco Bell trucks outside in the courtyard.
What they call it, cuisine limo?
The cuisine limo or something
like that. Yeah.
They got these tubs of like salsa,
cuisine valet. That's what it was.
Potato salad or whatever it looked like. They got these big tubs of. And so Stallone goes out there thinking it's like some kind of violent attack and starts to just waylay these guys. Doing his one-liners and you regret this the rest of your life. Both seconds of it. The way you stopped to make that glib witticism before doing battle.
They totally call it out.
But once he realizes it's just a bunch of people trying to get some food, he kind of stops and gets mad that this is happening. Right?
Yeah.
And it further, from a writing standpoint, it's great because it further pushes him down that path of something's not right here.
Well, yeah, and you look at it and you think about it too from like a critical standpoint. It's like, how can you guys be living in such ridiculous excess and everything, and you got people who just have nothing that are they're willing to do this, risk this for food.
Right.
Yeah, and then the Cocteau's thing is, well, they're choosing not to be a part of this wonderful society we've made, and
that's not wonderful according to who?
Yeah, right.
Brainwashed.
The other thing I loved in this whole scene was her dress was made out of like rocks and gems. Apparently, it weighed like 40, 50 pounds.
Oh my gosh!
And it actually ripped in that scene because I don't know if she fights or emulates him or something during. the end.
She does the.
Well, apparently it did
punching,
rip. So at the end, she's holding.
She's holding it
so
up
that it doesn't fall off because it ripped because it's so heavy, right? It wouldn't hold up. But I saw that dress and like, geez, that thing's made out of
forearm,
rocks.
like the veins popping out. She's holding 50 pounds up with one hand, trying to finish the scene. Yeah, that's funny. So essentially, after this, we cut back to Cocteau's house and we realize that even though we saw Simon Phoenix jump into the sewer saying, Edgar Friendly, whoever you are, get ready for Simon Phoenix, he didn't kill him. He's now back in Cocteau's house. Simon Phoenix is dressed like the sewer people.
Right.
And he says, I'm going to need a few more bad guys to help me out.
No New Yorkers.
He's like, nobody from
No New Yorkers. Those guys are uptight.
Yeah.
No mad dog killer types. This is, and Mark Gusick, who wrote in, pointed this out as well, and I've always thought this was kind of strange. Cocteau is this genius who built this whole utopia, but this single mistake he makes is the dumbest mistake in the entire. How would he not think to also make sure these other people couldn't kill him?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's
Well,
like
he
the
didn't have time
biggest,
to
dumbest
prep, though.
oversight.
Well,
It takes how many years to do this?
Well, then why did he go like, oh yeah, okay, sure, go ahead.
Right.
I mean, it was so stupid.
well, he's pretty arrogant. I don't think he realized that his baddie was going to turn on him like that either. He didn't see that coming because he
No, because he says like, you'll be the only mad dog killer. Oh yeah, okay, cool. That checks out.
Yeah, makes sense.
Nah, totally fine.
Yeah.
Thought, what, 8, 9, 10? Go for it.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get Jesse Ventura out of there too, please. Will you?
He was very misused. You saw him once, and then you never saw him again.
I don't know if there were scenes that got cut
There was a lot of scenes that got cut.
or what, and he had dialogue. I hope that's the case. I hope they didn't just hire him to do like a silent cameo in 2 scenes. How do you misuse Ventura? You got Jesse Ventura. Give him some more to do.
Wasn't
Man,
there
became
another
a governor for goodness sake?
Wasn't there another like a football player? The guy that says we get to kill John Spartan. Wasn't he a football player?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name is.
The name escapes me. Like there was a lot of famous sports guys that played the ragtag group of people.
On the way home, and this is going to be an interesting scene to talk about. He has a chance to look up his daughter. She's like, it might be a little misuse of police procedure, but he actually stops her from finding his daughter on the computer in the car because he feels like she wouldn't accept him given he was like this fossil. Like the lady just called him a fossil. And she said, I'm probably not going to fit into her life. And so he stops her. We never find out if his daughter's around or okay or where she is or anything.
Apparently, there's lots of scenes about that.
Is there?
That they cut out.
Oh, I would have liked.
In fact, I think
a little bit more about it.
There's a girl with him in the underground world that is actually his daughter, and they edited all of that out.
Oh my gosh, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, they get back to the apartment, and Lenina invites him up to her apartment, and gets up there, and she says, there's this well-documented thing about violence and sex and arousal, and maybe it's not causal, but it's like, and because of what you did tonight, my resulting condition and my current state, would you like to have sex with me? Or no, would you like to have sex? And he goes, with you? Yeah. Here? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all exciting.
I mean, he's been frozen for 40 years, right? This poor guy. And so he starts testing his breath. She goes off to get ready.
Love boat theme comes on.
He's trying to like psych himself up, right? Yeah. She comes back in with these like helmets.
Yeah.
I'm walking the F out after that.
This totally reminded me of Sleeper. You ever see that movie, Woody Allen movie?
No.
I had these sex orgasmotrons or whatever.
Really?
People would go into these little booths and they'd have orgasms.
See, I didn't know. I didn't have that context. But Stallone, he did so many great acting takes, considering how bad his acting is in some of his other movies. And I'm a huge fan of his. This is one of his better acting performances.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it nonverbal. When she puts the thing on his head and the look on his face for the next like 10 seconds while she's doing her like, what are you doing? I'm just getting ready. We're going to make love, of course, right? And his looking around the room, looking at her. It's all pitch perfect.
Right.
Okay. And we're going to begin in a few seconds.
And then you get the flashes in and out. And then back to his face, like, what the hell is that? And then, like, again, these ridiculous, colorful.
He starts seeing images in his head of Sandra Bullock looking erotic. And, and it's kind of like a virtual reality kind of thing, right? That's not really happening. They're sitting 6 feet apart from each other, right?
Something similar in Coneheads.
They're like socially distanced. I didn't see that either.
Okay, they had the ring that they'd put on their cone.
That's right.
Eventually, it starts to get hyped up to the point where it's really like he's even kind of reacting to it. And finally, he rips the helmet off his head. He's like, what the hell was that? I thought you wanted to make love.
And she puts it back on. It's like, you're ruining it.
Get back here.
Is that what you call this? Why don't we just do it the old-fashioned way?
Ew. She's like,
fluid transfer.
So disgusted.
You know what that leads to? Yeah. Cigarettes, a desire to raid the fridge. Smoking.
This is how they have sex.
That was awesome. That line was great.
Oh, yeah. Smoking, a desire to raid the fridge.
Yes,
the kids, a hunking.
Right. The way she describes how sex was responsible for the downfall of society, right? She said this is why it was deemed illegal.
Yeah.
And
that's a pun, right?
And even nailed. Oh no. Wait. And basically says that even if you want to have a kid, it's the fluids are purified and done in a lab, by medical professionals, and that this is what ruined the world. And she goes, not even mouth transfers condoned.
Yeah.
Kissing's not allowed? I was a great kisser.
Yeah, I'm a great kisser. That's good.
He leans in to kiss her, and this disgusted look on her face. Great acting, right? what are you doing? I'm breaking the law, right? And she throws him out of her domicile.
I love how it's all 20th century or
it's
decorated.
The worst 20th century decorated apartment of all time. I didn't notice one thing in there, probably because I'm not going to use licensed things, right? So it's just all kind of non-licensed little tchotchkes and whatnot, but good stuff. He gets thrown out. He goes back to his own apartment, which apparently is 2 doors down or whatever.
I think this may be my favorite gag of the whole movie.
When he busts open his little thing.
He opens his little kit and there's a knitting thing in there.
Right.
And he's like, what is this? It says something on it.
Behavioral engineering. Behavioral engineering.
Yeah, behavioral engineering. He's like, what? And then
he just starts going with them.
He's watching the holiday.
I'm watching this with Millie, my daughter at the time, and I'm like, is he really going to knit? She says, I hope so.
Makes her this sweater.
It's a 90s movie, and so they're obligated to have boobs in it. So they literally were like, for no reason.
Yeah, because
like,
that doesn't even make sense
wrong
in there.
number.
Yeah,
because they had to, because it's the 90s.
Right.
So they get that scene in there where she's like, oh, sorry, some topless girl calls him. Sorry, wrong number. He kind of shakes it off and starts watching the holotape where he sees Cocteau interacting. Yeah. Outside the museum, and now he knows Cocteau's dirty and he's involved. But the whole time, you're right, he's wrapping yarn around his arm.
So then the next scene is the morning, right? And he's got a whole sweater knit. And I said to Millie, because she started getting into this stuff, she's 13. I said, would he be able to knit a full sweater by morning? She says, well, if he had enough time. I'm like, would he have enough time all night? I don't know.
All night long. Because there's that awkward moment where they have to see each other again after she threw him out.
It's a really nice, it's got like patterns in it. It's really fancy knit.
She's kind of standoffish at first, right? She's standing there kind of standoffish, and he comes up. He's like, I made you this. And it kind of thaws the ice immediately. Right.
Is this where he's like, I didn't even know I knew how to do this or something like that?
They get in the car. He's like, I don't understand. Like, all I've wanted to do is knit. How come I know what a pedal point or a bobbin hook or whatever that thing is? I could knit a throw rug with my eyes closed right now.
That's great. I'm a seamstress.
I'm a seamstress?
I'm a seamstress.
Oh, that's great.
Well, this is where he finds
Betsy
out.
Ross.
Yeah, I'm Betsy Ross. He finds out that he goes, this is where they're doing some detective work. He goes, we pull up Simon Phoenix's rehab program.
It's like,
right? Because he went in.
Things he learned.
I'm Betsy Ross. He learned how to be like, he's like, terrorism, killing,
all these different martial arts forms, guns,
computer hacking, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm Betsy Ross.
Wait.
And so he very easily found the information. That's when she was like,
access denied. Let me push a couple more buttons.
On access denied.
Yeah.
And they find out that Cocteau's behind it, right? And so they go like, we're going to go visit Dr. Cocteau. Yes. Don't worry, I'll be subtle.
Yeah, right.
He's not subtle. It's a typical action movie scene where he comes in and he's immediately like just
brash.
Yeah. Throws him right under the bus. I know I know you did this.
Is
You're
it the
one
scene where he's all on all those screens?
Yes, because he said he thinks he's not there.
He's not there, and
Cocteau's on the little Zoom screens. And so he just starts shooting each of them.
And then he sees out of Associate Bob's eye, he glances somewhere. And then I love that you see his gun to his head, and you're like, oh, what's going on? And then he's standing right next to him.
He was in the next room. Cocteau was in the next room. And this is what I love. When you cast a great actor in these bad guy roles, it elevates the entire movie.
Absolutely.
And so Nigel Hawthorne has this great bit of dialogue here, right? He says, you, my friend, are dead. Your family's dead. Your past is dead. Dead things cannot affect the living, right? He's got that whole speech because he's like, are you planning to do anything with that archaic device? When he realizes he's not going to shoot him, he starts chewing him out.
Right.
Officer, return this man to cryostasis immediately. Be well. And he says be well like you would say F you, basically, to the guy. But then Stallone actually says it. Directly. Okay.
BF'd.
That's right. And shoots the gun right past his face into the fine machine that defines him for saying it in the first place. And Bob passes out.
That's right.
And they're not, but unfortunately not able to take him away. And so Huxley she's like, you're asking me to disobey a direct order. I'm supposed to take you to the cryo prison immediately, right? But He's like, no, we're going down into the sewer, right? Because I'm going to go down there. I'm going to find Phoenix. I'm going to put him in a hurt locker.
Right.
Yeah.
And Benjamin Bratt is like recoiling as he's saying it to him. He's like, oh my gosh, it sounds terrible.
He was so great in this.
This is where she goes, let's go blow this guy.
Yeah. Let's go blow this guy.
Blow this guy. Whatever.
That's when he says she's got away with words.
They're going down into the sewer to try and find Phoenix. But what they find is all these people, right? And a very interesting food that they're eating down in the sewers.
Yeah.
Or it's not even a sewer. It's like the underworld.
Just abandoned tunnels.
Abandoned tunnels and things like that. Maybe it's the subway. Well, do they have a subway in L.A.? I don't think they do.
Maybe some parts.
Maybe they knew that Tesla was tunneling.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. These are Tesla's tunnels.
Wasn't
He
Tesla,
finally
but what
finished
is
his
that?
tunnels.
Was the
Boring Company.
The boring, whatever.
Boring Company.
And he smelled like, oh, what does that smell? And he's like, oh, yeah.
Muscovy.
Smells like freedom.
Smells like freedom. Goes over and he's like, I'd like a burger and a beer, please.
Takes a bite.
Just don't ask where the meat comes from. You see any cows around here?
She's like, yeah.
Rat
Cows
burger.
like, rat.
This is a rat burger.
It's the best burger I ever had in
Best
years.
rat burger I had in years.
And he finishes it.
He's sort of grossed
would
out.
eat
It's
it.
a great scene because he's sort of grossed out, but he's like,
think about it.
all
You've
right,
been in
I'll eat
prison
it.
for that
Yes,
long.
I know.
All you've had is Taco Bell
Taco Bell, which is about this big.
with like little. Yeah, I need a rat
Did he
burger.
even get to
too.
eat?
Apparently, all it is beans at Taco Bell now because they can't have any meat.
You're right. He didn't even show him eating it. I don't
Yeah.
think he ate that either.
No,
What's he been? He's been eating nutrient paste or something
I don't know.
to keep him, up to
Oh,
this
that's
point.
terrible.
I don't know. But they keep walking through.
Soylent Green.
They realize it's people. These people aren't very hostile. Like I think the cops are expecting them to be these bad, evil people that Cocteau has built up these underground people to be, but they're not really being hostile. And they come around the corner and they see this beautiful car sitting there.
GTO.
And
No, 442. Sorry.
Yeah.
Huxley knows everything about
It's
it.
like
Yeah.
the Oldsmobile 1970 Oldsmobile 442.
Yeah.
And bucket seats.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I studied, right? I mean, Lenina Huxley is one of the best characters in any of these movies we've watched. I mean, she is. Every scene, she gets better and better and better.
I think it's hilarious that there's an Oldsmobile dealer. And Oldsmobile's been out of business since probably 93.
It's been a minute.
They gave him their last car. Take it.
Oh, that's right. In the future, there's a futuristic one upstairs,
Maybe that was
right?
GM's last gas to try to sell Oldsmobiles. Let's put Oldsmobiles in all these cars.
Can we get him in Demolition Man?
Yeah, we get him in there.
I'll tell you how we'll save the company. They're having their big board meeting. They're about to go under. Anybody, literally at this point, any ideas? The Johnson at the end of the table goes, let's do product placement in Demolition.
Demolition Man. Yeah.
Genius. 6 months later, they're out of business.
Check bounce checks everywhere.
Check bounced. So this is when Dennis Leary does show up with the guns and his buddies, and it does get a little hostile for a second.
Jack Black.
Jack Black.
Yeah, I didn't see him. I knew he was in there, but I didn't.
He's the one that he grabs his gun and twists his arm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A split second.
I might have to go back and watch that.
And they have, like I said, Leary basically launches into his stand-up routine at this point, right? Once they realize we're not there for you, he goes, I don't even know who you are, let alone want to take you
I
anywhere.
know he's like,
right?
you're coming to kill us. Oh,
Stay here. Be well till cocktails and ass.
Right, so be well. I love whenever Stallone mocks the future
It's so
stuff.
good at that.
This is good acting by Stallone because he just takes the eye. He's like, be well. Like,
So basically, Leary goes, we live down here because we don't want to live by Cocteau's plan, right?
Right.
And he does have this great line. He says, I've seen the future. It's a 42-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wiener.
wait, isn't that how it is now?
Nailed it.
Pretty much.
Nailed it.
We cut now to the bad guy meeting. Got to have bad guy meetings in these movies around the table. First of all, I'm like, where'd they get these girls that are hanging around with all these psycho killers? And two,
Thought him out.
Thought him out of the 80s.
where'd they get the Cheetos? There's piles of Cheetos
And pretzels and Cheetos.
pretzels and stuff on the pool table where they're having this meeting.
Dude.
Where'd I thought all the junk food was illegal.
Yeah, well.
And the people down there are starving because even Leary's like, come down here, you starved to death. Apparently, you got all the Cheetos you could ever want.
Find him.
If you can get them.
Maybe that was
Are,
part of.
are they really Cheetos, though?
Phoenix's-
They were.
The rat Cheeto.
Probably like cockroach with
Cheetos,
cheese
that's
powder
true,
or
that's true.
battery acid.
They're made out of asbestos. They molded them.
There you go.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
I don't think I was going to say anything.
So they basically are like, there's only one, Snipes says there's only one person we have to kill and we can run this whole place, and that's Raymond Cocteau. So he's now forgetting about killing Edgar Friendly at this
Yes.
point. He's like, we kill Raymond, we take over everything. The world has turned into a mamby-pamby, pussy-whip version of itself, is what he says.
Yep.
And
he's not wrong.
Now,
think about this. Idiocracy was like, what if one semi-intelligent guy was he'd be the smartest person in the world?
Right.
It's like, what if one criminal was let loose?
It's a little bit scary.
In this type of world, he could run the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Right.
Though, the police chief wasn't wrong. Way back in the beginning of the movie, because that's what he wanted to do. Ultimately, was take over and form his own syndicate and everything. He needed a gun first, right? But so
the computer wasn't wrong.
The computer wasn't wrong, but little timing was off. Sequence of events was a little messed up.
Sure. Right after that, the bad guys walk out into the sewer tunnel area and immediately find John Spartan right there. And they've got him dead to rights. They're aiming their guns at him. John doesn't know they're there. They start firing and hit nothing. Nobody hits anything in this movie.
There's a lot of practice. They've been frozen for 40 years.
He has time to he grabs one of those high top bar tables and like Captain America
that was
uses it.
Better than Captain America 86 or whatever, 90.
This table's made out of vibranium. He's holding it up. Hiding behind
standard steel issue in the sewer, man. Come on.
Man.
That's alligator.
Deflecting bullets with his bar table. And no one else. The only person that gets hurt is Benjamin Bratt gets beat up by Simon Phoenix.
Well, he asks him to stay, boy, stay.
Starts doing
He tried to
extreme
get
assertiveness.
Just try to. I can't even say it on the TV. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But basically, he's left for dead, or he's beat up and left, behind in the underground. And Stallone and Huxley are chasing Phoenix up an elevator shaft. And he's like, "Hold on, we don't need to chase him up the elevator shaft. We'll just take the elevator up through the ground.
Well, let's put the car in it first."
So I'm assuming that's like a hydraulic elevator. It's got to be, right? For it to come through.
There's probably stuff like that in the actual city.
To come through the ground.
Yeah, but it came through the asphalt. There was no shaft or pulleys above it. Something had to be
underneath it. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing to pull it up.
Those underground people have been living there for a while. They know what they're doing.
So they built
someday somebody's going to come down here.
They're like the
trying to steal this car.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're going to want to get it up there. Let's make it possible.
How did the car get down there?
Well, civilizations build on top of each other.
We got nothing.
Is that what it is?
That is true, yeah.
It's like a mound.
There was a show called Hidden Cities, and it was all about all the different levels of cities under cities all over the world. So they just
built this new dealership over this pristine
Apparently in
Oldsmobile.
Seattle, like the whole city underneath, there's like a whole
They restored
place.
the Oldsmobile.
London's the same thing.
They did?
Yeah. Had to.
They had to have. Yeah. All these guys knew exactly how to do it too.
Yeah.
All right. So regardless, I know I'm nitpicking. There's not a whole lot to nitpick in this movie, but the Oldsmobile comes up on a hydraulic elevator through the floor of a dealership, right where there's an empty space for a car to come through.
Perfect.
Oh, that's where the Oldsmobile dealership came from.
That's right.
That's right.
They drive it out, and at the same time, Simon Phoenix has stolen Lenina's cop car, and so we get a car chase. Yes. Through the city of San Angeles. And the first thing Stallone does is flatten the tire of the cop car, and he goes auto inflate, and the tire goes back inflated.
That was pretty impressive. That was pretty good writing right there.
That would be a nice feature.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's something we definitely don't have.
I don't think that's no.
Although I've noticed in my life recently, you don't get as many flat tires as you used to anymore.
Really?
I don't know why that is.
I get them all the time.
Do you really?
Yes.
Well, it's because his neighbor's a roofer.
That's right. We're driving over nails all the time. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell him to stop doing that?
I don't know.
Does your neighbor like you?
I made that part up. I don't know that his neighbor's
I don't know if it's a roofer, but we're picking up nails constantly. My daughter just had one in her tire. All right, so they're driving down. I'm sorry, I'm getting lost in this car chase. It auto inflates the tire. They're still chasing after each other. He's got the Oldsmobile getting shot up along the front. So Stallone jumps out onto the hood, and Lenina's got to start driving the Oldsmobile. And she's like, "I read all about this. It's okay. I just push with this pedal here, right? Push it as hard as you can." And he jumps from the Oldsmobile onto the roof of the cop car.
Right.
Who he's now trying to shoot through the roof, which always drives me crazy.
There's not enough roof panel to hide on that I wouldn't be able to go boom, 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 boom. I hit you, guaranteed.
That's a trope.
Big time.
It's a terrible trope. Every time I'm like, how could they not hit the guy?
They never hit the guy.
They never do.
It's like the worst game of Battleship ever.
Seriously.
It's like, okay, you are on the roof. You take up sectors 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9.
Right. I even think in Die Hard when he shoots the vent up, right? The same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, how does he not hit
How's he not hit
Get
him?
skinny.
The door. He opens the gull wing door so he can reach his gun out and shoot him, which Stallone immediately takes away from him and then uses to rip the door off of the cop car.
Yeah.
Not really
Well, he
well-made
wants to
door.
close the door, and he's like, door is jammed, or door won't close, or
Right, because he's got
malfunction
the
because the gun is
gun
wedged
jammed
in
in
there.
He literally rips it off. It goes flying into traffic. Okay. And now he's gone into the car and they're wrestling in the open doorway. And Stallone's back is hitting the pavement as it's going. It's an awesome scene.
It's safety pavement. It's the future.
Safety.
It's fantastic. Okay. And
With Stallone, the road's afraid of him.
The road just got Stallone.
this is the moment that Simon Phoenix tells him about the passengers on the bus that they were already
Yes,
dead.
That's right.
Right.
Already dead.
Right? They were already dead. They were cold as cold could be. That's why he didn't get on the
I
thermal.
was just gonna say because they were already dead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Stallone, he goes, "You're a dead man, Spartan." He's like, "You first."
He's like, I knew it. I had the worst lawyer in history back in '93. It's like, so
But I see your
whatever.
point. Like, why is everyone believing him
know.
as a criminal? Wait a minute.
because we needed to get him in the cryo prison for the movie to
Yeah,
happen.
that's pretty much it.
Yes, but that's not really a pass for the writer. Come up with a way that's feasible
Yes.
to get him in the cryo prison, right? It was a little lazy.
They could have had the people still alive.
Could have. Why not just blow him
Yeah.
up? It's still not his fault
No,
that
it wasn't his
happened.
fault.
Anyway, he throws Snipes into the road. He goes rolling on. He gets into the cop car. Now Stallone's in the cop car alone, and he's trying to self-drive. Self-drive won't work.
Yeah.
Brake. Stop now, you Mickey Mouse pieces. Yeah. And this beautiful shot of the car going through the SAPD
Yes, it was awesome.
sign
And
crashes
the
through.
foam. Poof.
I thought I was a goner, and this car turned into a cannoli. It was just like styrofoam in there.
Foam.
I have often
you imagine?
thought
Great
foam would be
safety
an
foam.
awesome thing if you could make it work that way.
How would you breathe?
I mean,
I mean, there are problems with this.
I have, my wife
That's one
has,
hell of a cleanup car, dude. Like that car's
well,
screwed.
they're screwed now. If your airbags go off now, your car's totaled.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So
I know.
either way,
We're not saving it.
No, that's true. That's true. It'd be a one use only.
I'm
I'm okay with that.
I have this actually legit fear. My wife is a really bad asthmatic, and I've always been very concerned if her airbag goes off, all the stuff in
Yes,
there, that she's
I've
going to have
seen it,
serious
yeah.
problems. So,
It's all kinds of
you
stuff
know,
in the air
yeah.
when that goes.
so why not foam where we all just die that way?
My wife had her airbag go off and it burned the
Preserved
crap out of her
perfectly.
arms.
Yeah.
Like her arms were all
and
burned
there are
up.
those airbags that would shoot metal and kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takata airbags.
So maybe we
We
need to
can't
make
talk
these.
about that.
We need to make these cannoli cars.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? Why can't we make that happen? Come on, Elon Musk.
It wasn't too hard to get out of the foam, but that was hilarious.
What movie or cartoon where the freaking airbag was a blow-up doll?
That was an airplane.
That was
That was in-
airplane.
Was that airplane?
Oh, no, no, no.
It was Family Guy.
Family Guy. Family Guy was the one where it was a blow.
All right.
All right.
Well, in the original Family Vacation, it's just a trash bag. You can even like see the seams of it. Like,
This is your automobile, the family truckster.
I remember watching that movie as a kid, going, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And now we have airbags.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He crawls out of the car. And this is where we see the cops come out of the department. The sewer people are coming out. The two groups are kind of meeting together. And the chief is trying to tell him, you're under arrest. You can't go anywhere. The very idea of you being arrested negates the possibility of you leaving.
Right.
He's just like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, once again, like you're not making me stay here.
No, like him and Simon can rule the world at this point because no one can stop them.
Yeah.
You don't have a gun. You don't have anything.
Right.
So he just ignores the police officer.
So you're saying that if you had guns, it'd be easier to stop people from doing things?
We don't do politics on this show. So
Well, I knew you were going to cut that out, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody in this room understands.
British police don't carry a lot of weapons.
That's true. That's true.
And they
But
have a lot of knifing.
They don't
They
have
have
to
a lot
deal.
of
They don't have to
knifings,
deal with
it's
John Spartan and Simon Phoenix either, right? And so he basically the other line I like from that scene is the police chief says to Dennis, "They're like, you would use these archaic weapons against people who uphold the law.
We use these sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
We use these weapons to shop for groceries.
That's true because that's what they do.
That's all they're doing. They're stealing food.
They're stealing food from Cuisine
That's right.
Valet or whatever it's called.
Taco Bell Cuisine
Taco Bell
Valet.
Cuisine Valet.
I want to call out another brilliant nonverbal acting take. In the next scene, Cocteau, this is where Cocteau gets killed because he's a moron.
Yes.
Goes back to his house and Simon Phoenix is there again
all of his
with his cronies all huddled around this desk. and Cocteau goes, they're really terrified of you. And he's like, people are always terrified of me. And he goes, yes, but this time they're really intimidated. And the look on Snipes' face, when he says that, like this, he really wants to shoot him, and he turns around, he tries again.
No, he doesn't.
He just wants to make sure he can't do it himself.
Right.
Before he tosses the gun. He tosses the gun to Jesse Ventura and says, "We kill this guy for me. He's pissing me off."
Yeah.
He reminded me of an evil Mr. Rogers. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this is what Cocteau was saying about his plan. Like he wanted to take his what was it, pill or something?
Right. Well, his idea by society.
By society, he wanted to go global, so that's why I figured like it didn't get out past San Andreas.
Close enough.
St. Andrews.
Yeah.
It didn't get past California.
How'd that work out for him?
Not well.
Well,
Apparently you should not let psycho killer.
Fall out their own.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he let a sexual tyrannosaurus just blow him away.
Right.
Well, you know you played 7 Days to Die.
I ain't got time to bleed.
That's right. Oh, I can't wait till we do Predator on good movies that are good. It's going to be so much fun.
That should be the first episode.
Final battle. We get the final battle now here. Okay, so now they're rolling into Lenina and John roll into the bad guy area, and this is where we see Lenina actually kick some butt for the first time in the movie. She's literally like doing karate kicks and all this stuff, which we find out she learned
From Jackie Chan.
Thank you. Jackie Chan movies, which was funny because he was supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's why Stallone put it in there.
Yep.
Because it was Simon Phoenix was written for Jackie Chan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would have been a very
would've been-
weird movie, though.
That would have been probably pretty good too, but without
Different.
Wesley
Totally different.
Snipes is. I mean,
Yeah.
Jackie Chan can't do.
Can't talk like
Jackie
that.
Chan.
No, I think the character is completely different.
They have to be.
If it's
The reason why they wouldn't cast him was interesting because in I think Chinese culture and various other things, to have him go from he's always a good guy to a villain would not have worked.
no, that's why he didn't want
So
to do
they
it
didn't let him do it.
Right.
He wouldn't do it
because he was playing a villain.
yeah. But I love the right. Throw his name in there because they're buddies and
But is different, and I can't even. It's hard to say because it would be so different to make a judgment on how good or bad it would have been.
no.
It's impossible. But I will say this. I'm sure it still would have been fantastic, maybe in a different way.
Right.
If we could have had a Stallone and Jackie Chan in their prime movie together, that would have been fantastic,
Very good.
right?
Chan would have the humor. Whether he could do the
Right.
dialogue would be the interesting.
No, well, they would have had to rewritten it. They often will do that based on who's in the movie. They'll change the script. I remember when they made a Running Man originally, it was Christopher Reeves was in that part for the Running Man.
Oh.
And it was based more closely off of Stephen King's book of like this everyman guy that ends up in the Running Man. But when Schwarzenegger gets that part, well, the whole script changed.
Oh, yeah.
The one-liners go in, the different thing, like because it's just not going to be the same as So I'm sure the dialogue would have been totally different.
I believe Christopher Reeves opted out of that for Quest for Peace.
Probably. I mean, I don't know at the time what he was doing, but
I believe so. I could be wrong.
yeah. So Simon starts to defrost the entire cryo wing of bad guys, including Jeffrey Dahmer.
I love this guy.
Well, I thought what's interesting about that was
Why would you-
93. That was pretty soon after Dahmer was caught.
I don't think he was dead yet.
No, but he died in, I think, 94. So it was like literally if they had made this a year later, they wouldn't have had the joke in there. So it was the perfect timing. They made this joke that immediately was a dead joke
Yes.
for the rest of time.
Yes, but really out of taste.
Well, right.
No pun intended.
Because he just killed all these. He just
Nice.
There's two. We got two.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. We got two puns now. It's the red button to add, just so you know. Okay. All right. So Jeffrey Dahmer, Spartan John, before he finds out, the thing Lenina says he's going to thaw everybody out, but he stun batons her so she won't be there to get hurt, and goes in by himself.
As he always does.
As he always does. And the hero shot of him putting the beret on, send a maniac to catch a maniac, does the callback, and that shot of him putting the fork into where he's like, veins are popping out of his arm. He puts the fork in the wall to get the cage to come up.
Yeah.
Incredible shot.
Yeah. It's one of the most iconic shots of the movie.
Yes.
It's in the trailer. And
Great
everything.
hero shot of Stallone. And, again, more props to him. But he gets in there and Phoenix has gunned down all of the cryo workers that are in there helping him.
Because that's just what you do.
We never really see what happens to the other bad guys that Phoenix
Jesse
has with
Ventura.
him.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was all cut, that Stallone worked his way through those guys.
Yeah.
But they don't have it in the movie because when it gets in there, it's one-on-one immediately. Stallone and Simon Phoenix. And they have a gunfight. for a little bit. And all I kept thinking about is these poor naked guys in these ice cubes.
Oh, they're
still awake.
They're still awake.
They're
They gotta
just watching this.
They gotta just be freaking out like, oh my gosh, don't shoot me. There's just butts and nuts everywhere. Seriously, there's like so many shots like right next to somebody's firing a gun. Right next to him is like just an ass, just
like
right
a right
here.
cheek.
Just a right. Like I'm like, oh my gosh.
Jeffrey Dahmer going, oh, he looks tasty.
Who's up for a colonoscopy?
There is one kind of lame part. This is a great fight between the two of them. The only lame part I thought was the claw thing. When they had like the big claw.
Yeah, the claw
comes
did
in.
not look convincing it would hold him.
No, because there were so many shots where it was clearly not even touching him.
Right.
Or holding him together. He was like wired in or whatever. But it's like the claw game from like Toy Story, comes down and picks him up.
It moves.
It chooses who will go and who will stay. Like, that's all I can think of. And it's just moving Stallone around the room. And Snipes is sitting up there just taking pot shots at him.
Right.
Still, no one can hit anything in this movie.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb.
Okay. Until finally one of his stray shots breaks a hose that shoots out like the liquid nitrogen or the dry ice or whatever it was. They're using the cold stuff. He then aims it barehanded, grabs it, aims it at the arm, and breaks through it.
Yeah, he freezes the metal past critical temperature.
Yeah.
Without it having any effect on his hand.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
And so what great thing that happens though is Snipes throughout the movie is unable, and he keeps saying, what am I doing wrong? Like he's getting so frustrated throughout the film that he can't kill John Spartan. And now he picks up this laser cutter and he's trying to kill him he's like cutting through the room.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
Still can't kill him. We get 2 more shots of the slow-mo Stallone run.
You'd think that running in slow-mo, he'd be able to catch up to it with the, you know what I mean? It's like, stop aiming at where he was.
Yes. But he dives, and literally the thing...
Weird dive, though.
He slams... Snipes slams the laser cut on the ground and goes, what am I doing wrong? Like he's so upset and annoyed that he can't kill him.
Plot armor.
Yep.
He stands up.
And all the while, the goo is falling on the floor.
That's right.
This is important.
The freeze goo.
Freeze goo.
They were swimming in before. And they have this great standoff, the two of them now. They're like the stare down, standoff. And Stallone calls back to the beginning. He goes, is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
Good memory.
Good memory. And then they fight. But again, Snipes is kind of beating him up a little bit because he's too good of a fighter, to the point where Stallone has grabbed one of the wands that they use to freeze the prisoners in.
Yeah, it's got a little freeze ball.
He's still on laying on the ground, beat up.
Yep.
When Snipes comes over with a spear, going to do the coup de grace, right? And he's drenched in this stuff. I mean, it looks like it's been raining in there. And it's this very intense moment where he goes, this is the greatest day of my life. And he sees that Stallone's got the wand, and he tries to stab him, but Stallone smacks the thing into the ground and freezes him before he can do it.
Yep. Jumps up in the air, catches the claw, does the spin around, and then
takes
heads
his head
up.
off. That's just great callback to the fire scene. And then when he said the only way I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached.
Right, because the first scene they're fighting in flames, this scene they're fighting in ice.
It's great.
These little things, the reason this movie's great, the performances are great and all that. The script in this movie, written by Daniel Waters, I think is what his name was, so good, these little connections.
I was going to say, they answer their own questions.
Yeah.
You know, they actually complete the circle of thought.
They didn't leave any plot holes other than
like the dangling threads in so many of these movies we talked about. Like, and did we ever go back to that? Nope, we never did. I mean, how many times do we say that when we're talking about these movies? This is how you tie things up. Yeah, there's things they left or obviously cut out that would have been nice to have in there, but the important threads get tied up, and it's very satisfying when that happens.
I honestly, listening to, because I didn't do any of the research, I didn't look. There were scenes that were cut out. I want to watch a 2-hour and 50-minute version of this
director's
movie.
cut of that
for sure.
Release the director's cut.
Whether it's
Demolition
polished
Man.
and finished like this or not, I want to see what they didn't take.
I want to see Snipes cut that guy's eyeball out with a pin.
I did like how Snipes' head bounced once and then came again, bounced and shattered all over the place.
Yeah.
The close up of his head shattering was awesome.
And so he walks out, we get the little epilogue, and Lenina Huxley is outside, and she says, thank you for rendering me unconscious.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
We're supposed to be a team, and this is when he grabs her and kisses her. And Stallone is so smooth with it, the way he does
That
it.
seemed like an homage to that really famous World War II picture.
Yeah.
In New York, where the guy
dip.
dips her, and he's kissing, the sailor's kissing the lady.
It was awesome. And
Yeah.
she said, are all fluid transfer activities like this one? He's better. And the police chief says, how will we live? How will we go about our day-to-day lives? And he goes, I'll tell you what, you get a little dirty, you a lot clean, and, we'll figure it out somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And Associate Bob again comes out and he's like, I would love Megan Friendly to be your associate.
Yes.
Like, we talk about the hair, Bob, pick a color.
Yeah.
What are you, surgeon with these gloves? You look like a couch. And off into the sunset they walk, and that's the end of Demolition Man. Woo.
Good movie. It's a fun movie.
We made it under 2 hours.
Did. Well, we got to do the awards. How about we do that right now? We've always got awards to give out, and today is no different, okay? We are going to start, as we always do, with the Will Patton Award for Intensity.
You want a war? I'll give you a war!
I don't want them to gain another yard.
You blitz all night! And if they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
Yes! Will Patton, the embodiment of intensity.
He's so intense.
That stare down right through your soul.
Intensity is so hot right now.
That's right, it is. I know I've probably mentioned this in past episodes, but I'll just touch on this again. Something that is sorely lacking from films are intensity and intense moments. And that moment when Snipes is coming and he's coming towards him with the staff, and he's just covered and it's just, he's so angry. Like the moments like in Temple of Doom when they're hanging off the bridge and he's trying to rip his heart out. I mean, just those types of intense finales. We need way more of that stuff.
I agree.
It's all too clean.
There's no struggle anymore.
Are you saying we're kind of like Cocteau's World?
I guess a little. Well, in the films that are coming out nowadays, a little bit, yeah. Anyway,
Cocteau-y. Stop being so Cocteau's.
That's what's so great about that scene, even in Infinity War, when Thanos fights against Iron Man, and Iron Man's suit is breaking apart as he's trying to fight this guy, and he ends up stabbed, and he's bleeding, and it's all just so intense. And he says, "I hope they remember you." Right? Like it's just such a great. Anyway, on with the Will Patton Award. My Will Patton Award nominations for the person that took their role the most seriously and went intense, did that thing that I love so much in movies. So who is your Will Patton Award winner for intensity, Charles?
Mr. Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes.
Nice. I think you can go wrong there.
Intense than him in this movie.
Absolutely. I'm just going to say it now. I also went with Wesley Snipes as my Will Patton Award winner. Clint, who you got?
I'm on board. Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, man. Bob?
Simon says, me, Wesley Snipes.
Clean sweep across the board for us, but we've got patrons that play along. If you're part of our Patreon at patreon.com/badmoviesrule, you can submit awards to be read out here on the show. And so today we've got Rebecca playing for the first time ever.
Welcome, Rebecca.
So thanks, Rebecca, for coming in. And she actually is off the board.
She's like our third girl.
She is. Yeah, that's why we love her. And
just joking.
She went with Stallone as the Will Patton Award winner, which I'm not going to argue with.
No.
She has a brain. That's good.
Gave a good performance. So good pick there, Rebecca.
Yep.
The Goose, Mark Gusick, writes in, and he goes with Wesley Snipes.
My man.
He said, how can you not give this man this award for this movie? With 3 exclamation points and question marks. Everything he did from start to finish was almost as tense. I'm going to start that over. Everything he did from start to finish was almost as intense as anything anyone has ever done. Strong take from Mark Gusick.
Yes.
That's an intense take.
It is. That's why I like it.
Wow.
I like when you write in, bring that intensity even in your descriptions, please. Nice job, Mark. Aaron Nowak also coming back for, I don't know, it's been a few episodes since Aaron's been with us. He also went Wesley Snipes. Let's go, Aaron.
Nice.
He said, this is quite possibly the best portrayal of the Joker in a role that is not the Joker. I love that.
That's
take.
pretty true.
actually
Yeah.
pretty true.
Yeah.
I heard an actor, I don't remember if it was Jared Leto or it was Joaquin Phoenix, or maybe it was Nicholson, talking about play. He goes, why people love playing the Joker is because you can do anything. There's a freedom in it. You can be absolutely unhinged, and it all works. And that's kind of what Snipes did in
Every
this part.
moment you've ever thought about when you were upset about something and you wanted to be able to do something, do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So that's a great take from Aaron. He goes, even though Sly is amazing in this film, it is Snipes' over-the-top psycho acting that pushes this film to greatness.
Yep.
Though Casey Wallace, the little girl in the video review that said "F you, lady," was a very close second.
She delivered that F you
She delivered that well.
That's
yes.
right.
That perm.
So let's jump now to the Michael Dudikoff Trash Can Full of Dirt Award. This is the award where we give it to the worst actor in the movie, the one that displayed the range of a trash can full of dirt. And this is a hard movie to do this for because a lot of good performances. So we got to dig deep. Usually this is kind of an easy award to hand out in the films that we talk about. But who'd you guys go with for your trash can full of dirt? Do you want me to start us off?
Sure, start it.
I went with Andre Gregory, the guy that played Warden Smithers.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't like his performance.
He didn't do as much.
He was just
I could see that.
let's get this over with. And Lenina Huxley. I didn't care for
He
his
sounded like a
performance.
Nazi general.
Yeah, that was just me though.
If you need an actor from here, that's probably like the most hateable throwaway character that could have been done with anything. But
Yeah.
honestly, the people in our actual society who take this as a roadmap on how we're supposed to. Those are the people that I'm going to vote for.
Okay, Charles, who you got?
I got Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary, not a fan.
Well, here's why.
Yeah.
He also said he called this movie a giant piece of crap.
What?
Yeah, he didn't like it. And I thought he was just himself.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was great.
Well, from an acting standpoint, he didn't have to act
and
at all.
that's why I didn't think he was
Okay, you know what? Thinking about it that way, that's a fair pick.
Yeah.
I liked him in the movie, but that's just because I liked Dennis Leary. Especially in the 90s, he was having a moment at that point. Bob, who you go with?
It was really... it's hard. It was really hard.
No, it was. It's difficult.
Because I didn't write one down because it was so hard. So
That's all right. Well, all this dead air gets cut out, so you can take your time.
I got a Hot Babe Award.
Okay, well, you want to give us your Hot Babe Award?
Yeah.
Let's say, I want. It
It came down between the
Was that one
FaceTime girl,
that sat
the girl from Taco Bell.
the girl from Taco Bell, and Sandra Bullock.
Oh, what a mystery!
That one cop that Sandy Bullock
FaceTime
kept
girl.
moving away was pretty hot.
That's true. The one cop that ripped off her headphones
Yeah, her
with
headphones.
the feedback was in her ear. She was pretty good looking.
You're gonna go with FaceTime girl, I'm assuming.
I'm not going to. Nah, I'm going to go with Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra
all right.
totally fair.
So, but here's a harder.
Oh.
Come on.
He got so excited he knocked
Mr.
over everybody.
All right, so
Enhance your comm over there. Enhance your comm.
we need every cortex we have in the situation. Okay?
He has no more blood.
That's right. So, can you give me your Rain Award then, winner? Who's the hottest guy in the movie?
I would
Benjamin
go Wesley
Bratt.
Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
Oh, Wesley
The hottest guy, dude.
Stallone looked like a Greek statue.
It's the blonde hair and the different color eyes.
right,
Oh, he's
fair
got
enough.
a thing for heterochromia.
All right, so who's your trash can winner though? You got to come back to it.
God. I'm going to go with you can't go with Jesse Ventura because he didn't say anything.
No. You heard that guy outside the Taco Bell was like, "No, don't."
How about,
it was so
how about the
hard.
How
first
about Taco
cop
Bell
that comes
themselves?
up?
We're not staying true to their menu.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm going to go with the Jolly Green Giant guy.
Dan Cortez.
And just because I can't think of anybody else, I'm
that's fine.
sorry.
I love it, Dan.
I've been stumped.
All right, so it's going to, I think, fall to the patrons here then, maybe. Rebecca came in with Steve Kanan, Captain Healy from the beginning of the movie, the cop or
Aw.
the chief from Lethal Weapon. I don't agree with that, but
No.
she must have really hated that guy.
Didn't like that guy.
Because he was only in the one scene.
Well, he sent Stallone off on this
that's
arc,
true.
on this tangent.
That's true.
Mark Gussick came in with Rob Schneider. He's like another French Stewart. I hate him in almost everything he does.
I hear this from people that they just don't like him.
Same character over and over again. Maybe he should stick to making copies. Making copies. I hate this man so much. Mark, what did Rob Schneider do to hurt you, brother?
Show us on this anatomically correct doll where Rob Schneider touched you inappropriately.
Let us know on Discord.
Let us know. Hit us up on there, brother. So this means for the first time ever the Patreon is going to pick the winner of the award because
nice.
Aaron Nowak also went Rob Schneider as Irwin, the annoying front desk officer. Schneider scene with the 3 seashells joke and him repeatedly saying he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells and his stupid laugh. I just wanted Sly to punch him in the face, which is fair, a totally fair. Boosh would have been fantastic. So that means because those are the only guy that got 2 votes. Rob Schneider is going to win.
There you go.
Didn't he win the last one? Didn't he win the Judge Dredd one?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back. That was so long. It was like episode 7.
Yeah, that was.
This is episode 101 we're on right now.
That was May of 2021. Oh my God.
A long time ago, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so now we move on to our top 3 performances. This is divorced from quality, just totally subjective. The 3 performances you enjoyed the most. Charles, who were your top 3?
I'm not very. I really like probably 3's probably
Hard.
Yeah. I really like Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
He was good, but he's not in my top 3.
Okay.
But he's close.
Honorable mention's always good.
I'm going with the main guys. Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock, Sylvester Stallone, put them in any order.
Yeah.
They were all great.
Well, I figured everyone's going to have Stallone and Snipes. And you don't have to.
I do have Stallone as number 1 on my list.
Okay.
He was really good in this.
He was. Shockingly.
His diction was great. His elocution.
All of it.
Just all of it. The way he played it all was just really, really good.
Right. And so I think really what this is going to be about is who's everybody's third person.
Right. Maybe
Right?
4th, right?
Maybe 4th. Yeah. Go ahead.
Mine is going to my order 3 Stallone,
Yeah.
2 Sandra Bullock edges them out because I'd rather watch more Sandra Bullock from this movie.
Yes, that's true.
And then number 1 Wesley Snipes. My God, man, he definitely
was good.
He lit this movie on fire.
I'm not and froze it. I'm not legitimately like anything wrong with Stallone's that I'm putting him in 3 and not in 1. Awesome stuff. I just that over the top maniacal.
Oh my gosh.
He was great.
It was so great. So great.
My wife and I were like, what happened to him? Like, he was, and then he could do stuff like this. Where did he go? And then I looked up, he went to jail because he didn't have he had bad tax advice.
Bob, who's your top 3?
I would say 3 is Bill Cobb's, just how he delivered
Zach Lamb.
Zach Lamb, just how he delivered the backstory and built up the hero and the villain very well. 2 Stallone, because this is probably outside his 3 franchises.
Yeah. His best
standalone work ever. I think it's his best standalone work.
Yeah.
And then obviously number 1 is Wesley Snipes because he played probably one of the best action villains in the last 30 plus years.
I don't think that's an overstatement at all.
So
and Stallone, this was a big comeback for him. You know, we did the movie already in '92. He did Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
Right, which could have been a death knell for him, you know, career wise. But he followed it up in '93. He did Cliffhanger and this movie in the same year.
Yeah.
Big comeback for him. But this was also kind of the last hurrah because after this, he would do Judge Dredd and then Assassins and The Specialist, and it all kind of started to tail off until now he's doing Get Carter. And
he had one really good movie was Copland.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember
But
Copland.
this is kind of the beginning to the end. But this was kind of his last big hurrah before things started to tail off for him. But man, fantastic swan song.
It was also
to that, not swan song for his career, but to that era of his career.
Yeah.
Does that make
the last good hurrah of the 80s action hero.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I went with Stallone and Snipes 1 and 2. Snipes being number 1, Stallone being 2. I actually put Nigel Hawthorne at number 3, not because I didn't love Sandy Bullock and all these people did, but I just wanted to shout him out. Without his smarmy, he brought some gravitas to this part. Great, elevated the whole movie.
He was
being
good.
just cringe bad guy. I love it. Good stuff.
Two fantastic villains in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
in general.
Yeah.
Right, well, 3 if you count the police chief too, right? That was kind of a thorn in his side also, but yeah. All right, so here's the patrons had to say. Rebecca went Stallone number 3, Snipes number 1. So her third person she put at number 2 was Dennis Leary.
Wow.
At number 2.
There you go.
With an honorable mention to Rob Schneider. So Rebecca coming in with all kinds
those
of
guys.
hot takes.
She liked those comics.
That's right. I love it.
All right.
I like
The
Rob
Goose.
Schneider.
I like Rob Schneider.
The Goose came in with Sandra Bullock at number 3. She's fun in this movie. Always fun to watch her play opposite of Sly. So kind of like you said, great chemistry, Charles. Number 2, Stallone. This movie is why this man was making all of that money so many years ago. You wonder, how is this short Italian guy a big box office star, right? You just watch this movie. Like, that is a movie star.
Yep.
He didn't write that part. I added it in, but just to go off what he's saying. He does say one of my favorite movies of Stallone's. Number one, he goes, Wesley Snipes, his over-the-top performance and blonde hair make him the actual star of this movie. He made it so much fun, Mark. I agree completely with
100%.
100%. Aaron Nowak came in with Sandy Bullock at number 3. She's hot in this.
Yeah, she is. If you pause it just right during those
okay, and the delivery of her misquoted lines and how Sly reacts to them are some of the best scenes.
Yes, she's
Plus,
great.
when she starts kicking ass later, it's totally unexpected. Number 2, Wesley Snipes. So we're going to get a different number 1 here. Number 2, Wesley Snipes. Like I said, his gleeful disregard for everyone else in his character makes this one of my favorite movies as a kid. And number 1, Stallone.
No.
This is what Cobra was supposed to be. He even tells his superiors what Phoenix is going to do, and they totally disregard him. Just like in Cobra. Sly is amazing in this and looks freaking stacked almost at 50 years old, almost as much as Steve James in American Ninja 3, but in a shorter package.
Oh man, can you imagine if Steve James was in
it'd be great.
Demolition Man?
He goes, he's not stiff, and you can make out about 90% of what he says. See, Aaron's right on board.
He had to get his jaw fixed.
I think this is an easy movie to answer the question about Arnold, because normally you'd say, okay, put him in the lead role or whatever. I think in this movie, because they name drop him, all we needed was him as the president.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Just like a TV appearance.
Right?
President. Yep.
How much better would it have made? I mean, it would have been
shows
awesome.
up
I think he might have been fun as Cocteau.
A giant.
I think he would have been awesome singing the Jolly Green Giant.
Jolly Green
right.
Giant.
Yeah.
We're in the valley of the Jolly Green Giant.
Or he
He's huge. He's a big giant, and we're here with it. Yeah.
or
He's not as big as me though.
Wesley
I'm
Snipes
huge.
for Wesley Snipes bad guy team at around the pretzel table.
Oh, it's just randomly the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
Well, it's the
He doesn't say anything.
it's the Predator team. So it's, you got Billy, you got
Dutch is there.
and you got Carl Weathers.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the guy who goes and like twists his arm instead of Jack Black, you know?
He's like, all we have to do to run this whole thing is kill Raymond, and Dutch is just like, yes, we will kill him. If he's British, we will kill him.
Have him be Cocteau. So like they go to try and kill him and they can't. Like it's not possible.
Be well.
The gun just like shoots around.
That's right, be well.
It's wanted before wanted happening. You curve the bullet.
Aaron Nowak says the same thing. He goes, as awesome as this movie is, it would have been freaking spectacular if Arnold would have shown up as former President Schwarzenegger to award John Spartan the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Right?
Missed opportunity.
For his badassery in saving society as they knew it from the tyranny
And
of Simon
completely
Phoenix.
commuted his sentence.
Commuted his sentence,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah,
It would have been
expunge.
perfect.
That'd be good.
All right, we got to land somewhere, guys, on this.
Good movie's
Ultimately, we have to make a recommendation or final determination, rather. Is this a good movie, full stop? Is it a bad movie with no qualifiers? It's just bad and it's not enjoyable. Or is it, yes, maybe objectively a bad movie, but we enjoyed it, therefore it's a bad movie that rules? Clint, I think I kind of heard what you said. I'm assuming
It's a good movie that's good.
good movie that's good, full stop. All right,
Yeah,
I
this
love
is
it.
a good movie.
Charles, where are you at on this one, buddy?
Okay, so first time I ever saw it.
Yeah.
So I came in completely unaware. So I was very excited to see who was in it. I enjoyed it. Sandra Bullock. I think two things could have improved this movie.
Sure.
I think had they got a better story to get him into the future, I would have because that always bothered me a lot.
Yeah.
And the second thing, if they had put it further into the future, because the whole time I'm looking at this, I'm going, I don't know. Like Zachary lived then. A bunch of those people were alive before that earthquake and everything, and that they acted like they never
They'd never
had
of-
emotions, and they didn't cuss anymore, and they didn't want to have actual sex with people. And you're like,
That's a terrible
that
society
seems
to live in.
weird. Like
You need to
but
be
if
a
they had-
generation removed from
Yeah,
that.
so why did they have to? If they put
It
it
could have been
another
52.
70 years when he was supposed to thaw out, then you might believe it because then you're 2 or 3 generations removed.
Right.
But all that
makes
being
sense.
said, good movie that's good.
Good
And I
movie
really
that's
enjoyed
good
it.
from
And I'm glad I
Charles.
bought it.
All right.
And I'm looking forward to show my family because they couldn't all watch it with me.
Oh,
last
it's
night.
great.
So.
Great movie. Bob,
It's a good movie that's great.
good movie. That's
It
great.
belongs
I love
on
it.
the Mount Rushmore of action movies of the 90s.
Yeah.
Do we have
so
one of those? We need one of those. We got to do that too now.
Yeah.
Damn it, Bob.
I keep creating things.
Here's what I'll say as
Carving
far
rock's
as like
pretty hard.
I don't think it's
Charles
it's-
can do it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard to
Get my
tell based
chisel.
on how I've talked about the movie that I'm going to say this is a straight up good movie because it is. But I think what needs to be talked about just maybe one more time. Yeah, we've hit home that the performances were awesome, but the script, the direction from people that appeared to have not done much after this, I don't know how, was so well directed, shot. The action married with the dialogue and the sound effects and all that stuff I talked about before makes this not just an enjoyable movie, it's a great movie. And I'm surprised it's borderline in some of those qualifiers to almost being, rotten, and it shouldn't be.
Just realized something. You know how this comes in line with being a great movie. So how this director, what's the director's name again? I can't pronounce it.
Whoa, Bambalema, Bam. All right.
Do you remember Quentin Tarantino said no one's ever made a perfect filmography?
Yeah.
This guy just did one movie and walked
No, but
away.
he also made excessive baggage, so he doesn't have a perfect filmography.
Damn it!
All right, so here's what the patrons had to say. Rebecca came in and said, this is a bad movie that rules.
Oh, bad movie.
How dare you?
So, no, it's okay.
That's fair.
That's what
not
happens.
fair.
That's what happens.
She enjoyed it, so she gave it the rule.
Jeez.
This show is trash at gmail.com.
I didn't even finish what I said.
Bowser.
You didn't even hear what I said.
All right, Aaron came in and he said, this is one of my favorite action movies from my youth and one of the first R-rated movies I remember watching with my mom. Does it feel as action-y as it did when I was younger? Hell yeah, it does. But is it a truly good movie? This movie rocks. I've always loved it, but it does have its dumb moments like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did.
A what?
Some scenes don't need to be there and others are just bad. But I have enjoyed it the multiple times I rewatched it over and over this past week. So in my opinion, this is a bad movie that rules in all caps! Exclamation point.
All right.
Thank you, Aaron, for that.
Explains he watched it with his mom.
Jeez,
Moron.
hey, be nice to our patrons, please.
Well, I want to know what scenes that they could have cut out.
Yeah, let us know, Aaron. Hit us up in an email.
Probably that nude girl when he's sitting with his mom. That was probably embarrassing. I didn't need to be in there. Now I'm all embarrassed.
Mom, I don't want to see boobs. I don't want to see boobs at all, Mom.
No, I want to see boobs, just not with my mom.
I know Aaron's been featured on a few of our mailbags, so write in, buddy. We'll get it in on mailbag of what you thought were some of the dumb scenes that could have been cut out. And we'll wrap this up with Mark the Goose Gussick, who has adopted the dog poop scale from the mayor, Ryan Mueller. He said, this movie is like when you get home from a 12-hour day at work and your dog is so well trained that he didn't make a mess anywhere.
Wow.
And the minute you let him out to the bathroom, he goes to the perfect spot and does it there.
Neighbor's yard.
So obviously, this is a straight up good movie, Mark says. This movie is always fun to watch from start to finish. The only real problem I have with this movie is that when they let the other convicts out of the cryo freeze, why weren't they programmed with the same inability to kill Dr. Cocteau? Yes, so Mark and I actually had a conversation about this a couple days ago.
Okay.
We were messaging on Discord. Again, if you're on our Patreon, you can join our Discord and chat with us on there. Just another perk. If we mentioned it enough, check us out. Patreon.com/badmoviesrule. And yes, it's absolutely idiotic that this was not worked into the fact that he's going to thaw out these killers and not have them kill him. I always hated that and the 3 seashells. How in the holy hell does that work? Does anyone know? It's haunted me for 30 years.
Well, we now answered that question.
You've got your answer to that, Mark, as well.
Pinch and scoop.
Take 2 rocks and just cut off your anatomy.
So next week, you guys, we are now essentially launched into the next 100. We finished the last 100. It's behind us.
Oh, it's been 100.
This is a 101st episode today. We are now starting a new run with Demolition Man, which I couldn't think of a better way to kick it off. And next week, we're going to go into the sequel of a series that we have started discussing on this show. The next week is going to be Tremors 2.
All right.
Aftershocks.
That's right. We get Fred Ward back on the show.
Love the first Tremors.
After being on here for Remo Williams in the first Tremors.
Love Remo Williams.
And so we get Remo Williams back in fighting some sandworms, and it's going to be fantastic. I've never seen it.
We got Mike Gross.
We get Michael Gross back in there. Everybody but Kevin Bacon pretty much, right? Comes back. I don't know. Does Reba McEntire come back for the second one?
I'm not sure.
Remember.
I don't remember.
But regardless,
it's been a long time.
Why did Kevin back out?
He thought the first one was absolutely ridiculous at the time and thought it was going to kill his career. And
he was wrong.
You know, I think he wanted to get away from it. But I think he's now since embraced Tremors, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't they do a TV show with him in it?
They did, and it didn't get picked up.
Yeah, they didn't release it. So
maybe it was him.
He shot a pilot of a Tremors television show with Kevin Bacon in it, and they didn't pick it up. I was like, that's so
It
stupid.
was supposed to be like a sci-fi movie special.
Exactly. So join us next week where we will have our panel. I think Kurt is going to be back in the house. We're going to have the mayor, Ryan Mueller, back in, and we will see you then. Join us for Tremors. In the meantime, on behalf of the Reverend Charles Hewitt, the Dirt Farmer Clint Bush, and the Manimal Bob Hauser, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening.
I gotta pee. Bob out.
Bob left. He's gotta go pee now.
Clean up your mess.
Can't get out of the door though.
Twist the knob. That's how it opens. He's legitimately stuck out there.
Just break it down, man. We watched an action movie.
Bob can't get out. Yeah.
Childproofing. Wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we didn't even sing about Demolition Man because Bob couldn't get out of the studio to go pee.
I learned on my trip that if the car doors in my car are locked, you can't unlock them in the back seat.
Oh.
Which is very annoying for adults.
Looks like a cop car.
Yeah.